put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something-yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Dan Aguire, I love that opening. I really, really do. It gets me in the mood for this show. I love it. What do you think of it?
It makes me think, who is that woman? And I say that it'll probably be your fucking wife. So if it is, I apologize.
No, it's not. It's a freelance narrator. I told you about that website, Fiverr. I want to get you on there so that you can make some money with your incredible narration skills. Well, I found her on there, and she is from, I forgot what country she's from, but she's from the other side of the world. When I came up with the idea for the open, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning here in Chicago and 9 or 10 a.m. On the other side of the world. So I said, well, I'll find a narrator to do this on the other side of the world. And so you kind of look at who's available. They got a little green light next to their picture. And there was this gorgeous dark-skinned woman who I listened to her demo reel, and I said, wow, unfortunately, this is not video, it's just audio, but she's good at both. She looks great, and she's got great narration skills. So I hired her, gave her the $10-15 that they charge, and she knocked it out for us. She's really good.
She sounds really good.
as do you.
Thank you.
Although there's a couple things in that open now that I think that we may need to revise because they are running the ball every time I want them to run the ball, at least almost every time. So that could be an old narrative that doesn't apply for the season. Is there anything else in there that you think we should revise?
Well, let me follow up on that first.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we leave it because Nagy's probably going to be like, shotgun, 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 every play now that Foles is in there.
Yes.
And I was just thinking, I saw some stupid countdown on Facebook or something that was like the best quarterback in the history of everyone's franchise and the worst. It had Sid Luckman as our best and our worst, Bob Avellini. So
no, he wasn't our worst. That's not true. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe after, I don't know how many games he played, maybe after a certain amount of starts. We've had a lot worse quarterbacks who were,
Jonathan Quinn.
there you go. I know you were going to bring that in.
No. How can I forget Steve Stenstrom?
Steve actually had a decent game or two.
No.
Yes.
I thought he was the worst. I liked Will Fuhrer better than Steve Stenstrom.
Oh, my goodness. The lefty, Will Fuhrer.
From Virginia Tech.
That's right.
Mike Ditka's last game as coach with Will Fuhrer at quarterback. That's the saddest part of
that is.
Ditka's run.
That really is. All right, so what else in that open would you like to see us revise? I think maybe the Eric Kramer thing needs to be revised. What do you think?
That's fine. Yeah. If you want to recut it, we can.
I think we should just ad-lib some stuff, and I'll come up with some stuff, and you come up with some stuff, and we'll see what we get, and make it more contemporary.
That definitely works for me.
Because we've got a lot to talk about over these 3 weeks in the NFL. Chicago Bears are 3-0. Mitchell Trubisky is no longer the starting quarterback. Nick Foles is. So I need to get your immediate reaction to that. What do you think about the quarterback change? Do you think Coach Nagy made the right move?
Well, I mean, I'll answer that, but do you think the top story now is the COVID situation?
Well, yeah.
I'll answer this because I think that's the 3-0 is so large in the scope when you really contemplate what's going on with the potential postponement of games or cancellation of games and things like that, that I really got sucked into the first couple of weeks and wasn't worried about it as much as I should have been. But that means, that's how important these games could be. So that's why, it's so important to win these three, which is why I am happy that he made the move to Foles. And again, I consider myself a Trubisky person. I had all of Mitch's jerseys, all of them, for the orange and the white and the navy and the throwback. I didn't get the 100 one. I got the Walter Payton in that one. But for a person that fucking cared and wanted this guy to be the guy, I mean, I was his supporter, and I still think I am. But at that moment in time when he threw that pick, and I loved Jay Cutler. I did. But Cutler threw those maddening picks too. The one against the Eagles in 2016 where Pernell McPhee started talking shit or whatever on Monday Night Football, that was kind of the same pick that Mitch threw the other day against Atlanta. So the short answer is I think not just because of the result that we won, which was great, but I think after that pick, it's just like, man, I know everyone's saying, well, it's not the pick, it's the body of work and the inability to do X or A or whatever. But I still think that pick was just like, oh, fuck, man. Like, he still doesn't know if it's man coverage or if it's zone. And so I feel like Nagy rolled the dice and it worked. And I'm glad that he had the temerity to make the bold move.
And I don't think it was so much rolling the dice. I think that they had this planned that if Mitch faltered early in the season, that they were going to make this move. I think that when you look back or when you go back and hear Matt Nagy's press conferences, he couched everything regarding Mitch and the starting quarterback position in a manner that fans should not have felt comfortable that Mitch was going to be the quarterback for all 16 games or whoever was named the starter. He just said things in a certain way. He was never fully satisfied with any of the quarterbacks in camp. And then after the first two games, while he gave Mitchell some plaudits, he also was restrained because he knew there were things going on. And it was clear in that first half against Atlanta that Mitchell was missing things on the football field. And I was ready to tweet out, I think that there's going to be a quarterback change, but I didn't want to, I didn't want 50,000 people to come after me and say, whoa, blah, 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 you're not a Bears fan, or, Mitch is the man, and so forth. So that's just,
or Detroit, that would have been my response. Well, hold on now. He came back in week 1, Aldo. Come on now. Exactly.
So, it wasn't that big of a deal, but lo and behold, here he comes out, the first series of the third quarter, and he throws that interception when clearly Graham was running right into coverage, and that ball should have never been thrown. And then Adam Johns posted a picture this morning, being, what is today, Tuesday morning, that I then reposted on BearsBarroom.com, where Allen Robinson was wide open in the middle of the field. He ran like a 20-yard curl route, and that's where Mitch should have gone. And Nagy talked about it at Monday's press conference. He says, you don't know, I haven't talked to Mitch yet, so you don't know, maybe he didn't see Allen open down the field because body's in his way, and what we see from the bird's eye view is different from what the players see down on the field. That's Matt coddling Mitch. Mitch should have seen Allen Robinson wide open.
And the irony is that he forces the ball to Robinson frequently.
Yes, that is the irony. It just, to me, I just think he panics sometimes. He just, I've played sports a lot over my many, many years, and there are times where I just don't see the field. When I'm playing basketball, I don't see the guys on my left or right. And then once in a while, I do have that great peripheral vision. I'll throw a great pass. Same thing the few times I've played quarterback, where you just kind of sometimes see the play and sometimes you don't. I kind of equate that to Mitch. Mitch has, incredible athletic skills and a much better arm than I will ever dream of having. But I don't think he processes things in the manner that the supreme quarterbacks in the NFL do. I don't think he's even close to it and will never be.
I think he needs. I don't want to write him off yet because, again, with the COVID situation or an injury, he could play again.
Yes.
And it's just like it makes me feel so much like Grossman. And when he lost his job to Greasy, he played again that year. And then he actually got one start when Kyle Orton won the job in 2008. Mm-hmm. So Rex got one game in against the Titans that year too. So there's still a chance you'll see him.
Yes, there's a very good chance.
I think Trubisky, this guy's not even coaching anymore, but it just makes me think if he could get with a guy like Mike Shanahan that really loves rolling out and bootlegs and waggles and just seems to be, I don't want to use the quarterback whisperer because we've said that for Nagy, or at least the media did, and for Mark Trestman. But I think he needs somebody that can devise a system that really does take full advantage of his skills versus Nagy trying to constantly make him, stay in the pocket and basically play left-handed when he's right-handed. It's just, I'm not going to say it's all on Nagy, but I'm saying if he could get with a quarterback or a coach that the system was more catered toward his skills, I think Mitch could be better than what he has shown. I don't think it's fair. I went after Fat Mike for him comparing him to Jamarcus Russell. What the fuck, man?
Right. That's not
right.
I
know Mitch has won a division title. You can say it was the defense, whatever. He still was the starting quarterback that won 11 games that year. Mm-hmm. Now I think they won. Did they win 12? Yeah, but Chase Daniel won one of those games on Thanksgiving against the Lions. So Mitch won 11 of those starts, and you can't just act like he didn't do anything. He won the game against the Packers to win the title. He beat Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field. Again, the game you were at. Mm-hmm. Threw a touchdown to Burton in the corner, who was a massive bust. So it's not fair to call Mitch, equate him with Jamarcus Russell.
Not at all.
Tim Tebow or whatever.
Yeah.
It just makes me mad.
There's many differences between Trubisky and Russell, and the first and foremost that comes to mind is that Trubisky legitimately wants to and works to being great. He wants to be great, and he works really hard to be great. Jamarcus Russell, the only thing he worked for was ordering a triple cheeseburger with the works on it.
To be fair to Jamarcus Russell, and the only similarity that I see with them, he worked really, really hard with Jeff Garcia for like 2 or 3 years and got in phenomenal shape. Actually.
After he was out of the league for a while, if I recall.
He couldn't get even a fucking tryout. And that's what I'm worried about Mitch, is because the narrative was written on Russell, and that's it. It's like when Jeff George, you had to blow up in Atlanta with June Jones, and then he was toxic waste. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with, I think, Mitch now. It's going to be like, well, he's a bust. And I'm worried that he won't get the second opportunity that he honestly deserves. And it's not going to be in Chicago. That he's done here, unless something miraculous happens. Foles gets hurt in a playoff and Mitch leads the run, I still don't think they bring him back.
Highly unlikely.
Think of the Ravens. They won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. The next year, they had Elvis Gurr back. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
And I kind of equate that to similar in how Nagy is with Trubisky. Bill Belichick, that was his name? Bill Belichick? The name of the
Brian Billick?
Brian Billick, I'm sorry. Brian Billick looked at Dilfer and said, "Yeah, I'm stuck with this guy. He can't run my offense," and so forth. But because of that fabulous defense that he had, all he needed was for Dilfer to manage the game. But he still detested the fact that he didn't have a quarterback that could run his offense. Remember, this guy came from the Vikings. He devised that Culpepper. Exactly.
Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham team.
Exactly. He devised that outstanding offense, and he was brought to Baltimore to do the same thing. Well, he couldn't with Dilfer, and bottom line, he couldn't at all.
Or Tony Banks. Remember, Banks was starting earlier that season.
That is right. I forgot about that. That is so right.
Tony Banks was the Rams draft pick a few years before.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
he was gone.
I have a number of things I want to share with you, some thoughts to get your opinion. But first of all, let's play your montage, your weekly montage, and then let's react to what you collected here.
Should I give you some attribution on first?
I was just going to ask you that. Please give me some attribution, and I wasn't going to phrase it that way. Attribution is a great word. I was going to say, who were you listening to, and what did they say?
Well, if you notice, I've been trying to get a little bit of everybody.
Yes.
So this week I went to Carmen and Yurko, whom I haven't included before. I went to what's his name? Parsons. McNeil's the one that got fired, right?
That's correct.
So I went to Parsons. He had Boomer Esiason on, so I thought, well, that'll be good just to hear the national perspective. So there's some Boomer in there, Carmen and Yuriko. One of our guys may have made it from the bar room.
Nice.
So basically it's the score. It's
ESPN 1000.
Yeah, and I used JJ Stankovich this week too from the Under Center podcast.
Yeah, I love JJ. In fact, I've got a question that I'll play later that he poses to Matt Nagy, and we'll talk about that later. But let's play your weekly montage. And by the way, I think it's Danny Parkins, isn't it?
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say Perkins?
I thought you said Parsons, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Either way, Danny has been a guest on The Score, and if you listen to this, Danny, we'd love to have you back on. All right, here we go.
In these first 3 weeks, winning 2 games the way they did in Detroit and yesterday.
With an easy schedule.
Well, even with an easy schedule, to be down, do you guys know what the record is for NFL teams since 1940? When they take a 16-plus point lead into the fourth quarter. Do you know what the record is since 1940 for NFL teams? Do you know what the winning percentage is?
The winning percentage has got to be like .86.
Try .989. 99% of the time, NFL teams with a 16-plus, 16-point-plus fourth quarter lead win the game. The Bears have won twice when trailing by 16 or more. They are the most improbable 3-0 team in the history of the National Football League, period. It is an undisputable fact.
They're the first team in history to win 2 games in a season, which they trailed by 16, at least 16 going into the fourth quarter.
And there you go.
So let's talk about the decision to bench Mitch Trubisky and insert Nick Foles. I was floored that Matt Nagy did it when he did on the third offensive play, after the third offensive play of the third quarter of the third game of the season. That told me that the leash, obviously for Mitch Trubisky, was very, very short. As soon as Mitch Trubisky started making the same mistakes that he has made for the last 3 years, it was Nick Foles time.
Yeah, I gotta say, at halftime, I was pretty ticked off from what I saw in the first 2 quarters. I went and I thought maybe I could change the juju up a little bit. I put a new hat on. I put on a Rick Meyer jersey. I don't even know why I have this, but I put on a Rick Meyer jersey to try to do some 180s on everybody. So I was really surprised when Nick Foles entered the ballgame. I thought, okay, if they're down, they're gonna try to let Mitch work through this. I honestly didn't think with a winning record, this team would go off of Trubisky.
It's the right thing to do, and I give Matt Nagy a lot of credit. People don't realize how hard it is for a coach to make a decision like this. It seems easy on the outside, and it's always easy for us as fans and analysts to make the decision for the coach. So the coach is on the field. He wants the kid to do well. He wants the kid to live up to the lofty draft status that he has. And he sees it morphing into a Mitch Trubisky inconsistent, turnover-filled game. And he knows that the rest of the team is about ready to just absolutely pack it in and call it a day. So he has to do something. And the only thing you can do is change the most important position in all of sports in the middle of a game to change the momentum and to actually give your team a little bit of, I guess a little kick in the pants. And that's exactly what Matt Nagy did yesterday. He recognized it. He saw it. He saw it in the eyes of Mitch Trubisky. There was no reason for Mitch to be throwing interceptions. And he made the decision to go to Nick Foles. And now he's going to stick with Nick Foles. Now, John Madden once said, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And that's the case of the Bears. But the point being is that you have to do something, and you got to save your season. And I think Matt Nagy did that yesterday with this decision.
I don't think that we're going to see an abundance more of shotgun because it's Nick Foles. I think that would be, deception suicide if you didn't keep the running game as important as it's been to the success of this system. And so I just think Nick, with his experiences and the defenses he's seen, and, maybe some of the analytics that you can take from the past of his career, what does he like to do? He likes to go downfield with immediacy. And if he doesn't, somewhere underneath there will be an open opportunity.
As I was listening yesterday morning, I was out. I went and got myself a donut because I'm less busy these days on Sundays than I used to be. And so I'm listening to you guys.
We all are, Lawrence. Don't worry about it.
on Lakeshore Drive.
Go ahead, Lawrence. Go ahead. Well, first of all, on Danny Trevathan, I thought he was better yesterday. I thought he took on blocks better. And like you're saying, that's what you're hoping, Lawrence, right? You're hoping that it was no off season and he's just kind of playing his way into the groove. The thing that really bothered me the first game, and look, they've already said that when it's time to cover people, Trevathan is not going to be on the field. They're going to go with Deion Bush and Roquan Smith. So he's lost a step already, but they need him. They need his leadership. That run defense, we talked about earlier, they're giving up 5.6 yards a carry to starting running backs right now, which is not good.
You're down. You're a field goal dog, even though you're one of three teams in the NFC with a perfect record.
How about that? 3-0 at home against the non-conference opponent, and you're a dog. There can't be many examples of that, boys.
No, not at all. Phillip Rivers hit 8 different receivers.
Yep.
The running game got over 119 yards, but they averaged under 4 yards a carry. With that offensive line, I thought it'd be better, but people must be stacking you up top and saying, go ahead, Phillip, throw the deep ball with that little weird launch that you have with your arm.
Yeah.
So I tried to bring it full circle with the Colts there. Well, I brought it full circle with Carmen Yurko again, but I pointed it forward with the Colts. And I used Lawrence Holmes because I thought it was a little jab. It sounded like he was pissed that he didn't have the football after show. He's like, I have less to do on Sunday now. And they started laughing because David Kaplan has that gig now.
That's right.
And maybe he still wanted it, but I thought, that's
he definitely did. I know this for a fact based on, some of the people that I've met recently and been working with. He really, really wanted that job. He loved doing that job, but that was, he wasn't removed because of performance. He was moved for money because David Kaplan is being paid a lot by that TV station, and so they had an out with Lawrence. They didn't have to pay him if they released him. They had to pay Kaplan, and so they needed for him to do something, and so that's what he was doing, the Bears game. And so, you can pick whoever you like best, but that whole thing just has to do about Bucks.
I still think my favorite host of that show ever was Pat Boyle.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
God, I loved Pat Boyle in there when he had like Jerry Azuma and Richard Dent and Jiggs, Dan Jiggets.
And Chris Bolden was good too. Do you remember Chris?
He was okay. I thought Pat was superior.
All right. Well, Chris was going to do a podcast on a network, but you just ruined that. No, I'm just kidding.
No, fuck. Well, I also put on there because I thought the one interesting thing was with Olin saying all the yardage that they'd given up, whatever it was, over 5 yards a carry.
Right.
And I was like, well, that is one of the other stories of the week.
Mm-hmm. I'm
just explaining my thought process. And the actual stat that I heard somewhere Sunday, and I couldn't find it again. I heard DeFalco kind of touching on it, but he was just saying in the history of the NFL, I heard that the Bears since 1940 had not come back from 16 or 17. I couldn't remember how it was phrased. I think 16 points or more in the fourth quarter, but 3 times, and 2 times have happened this season. And the other one I know right off the top of my head is because I talked about it in the 25 best victories regular season from my perspective, was in 98 when the Bears were trailing 27-10 in the fourth quarter to Detroit. And Eric Kramer led 3 touchdowns and they won 31-27. So I remember that game very well. Edgar Bennett threw a touchdown to Fabian Bones.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I remember now. How did you say Fabian Bones? I remember that.
Yeah, and Kramer won with the quarterback sneak. And that was the only time he beat the Lions with the Bears. The only time. But anyway, so I was just explaining the thought process on the stuff. And I couldn't believe the Buffon had a Rick Meyer jersey. I was like, oh my God, this cannot be ignored. I had, and again, I thought for a long time we weren't going to say names, but I cut mine up, but I was encouraged by Phil to cut it up, and I did. So I had a Mike Glennon jersey that I was like, fuck it. After Jay left, I was like, well, he's going to be our quarterback, so I might as well just be on board. And I bought the jersey, and anyway, I cut it up. I literally cut the whole damn thing up, so I don't have it, thankfully. But Rick Meyer, he still has that at first. See, I was listening at first and on my phone.
Uh-huh.
It was like, he's fucking lying.
You had to see for yourself.
And then I'll go and put it on YouTube later, and it's a number 13. I didn't see the back, but it was a 13 Bears jersey, so it could have been Rick Meyer. I guess it was.
Yeah, that is great. Well, okay, some thoughts here on the clips that you pulled. First of all, I agree with the first clip. That was who was it? Who were the first guys again?
Carmen and Yurko, and they were talking about just the Bear, like the NFL teams can't win from these deficits, and he said it was the most improbable 3-0 team in the history of pro football.
I agree. I don't care who they beat. 3-0 is outstanding, and for them to do it in the manner that they did speaks to the fiber of this team. They don't give up. They continue to play hard. Yes, there are problems with the offense and the defense and the special teams. Yes, there's plenty of problems, and we'll talk about some of them. But what they have accomplished, for anyone to demean that and to say, well, look at who they beat, that's why they're 3-0, that's bullshit. God damn it.
It is bullshit because like the Chargers nearly beat Kansas City in week 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the story was, Patrick Mahomes, even when he's down, he leads the comeback. It wasn't that, oh my God, Kansas City almost lost to the fucking Chargers with their backup quarterback because the doctors injected something into Tyrod Taylor and literally fucked his lung up, which is just incredible. But the story wasn't that the Chiefs played down. It was all this improbable comeback once again by Mahomes. So the narrative here is clearly that the Bears suck. So you're always going, and I don't mean that from a perspective like, oh, poor us, but that is the perception. And it's hard to overcome that, which is what I said last week. That's exactly the reason I thought the Falcons would find a way to lose, because the narrative has been written. The Dan Quinn's tombstone is he's done. He is out of there. And it's hard to overcome that. Wayne Fontes did that so well in Detroit. But for the most part, when your story's written, it's fucking written.
Yeah.
And that's why the Bears get no credit right now because, again, they're going upstream. If it's the same 3 victories that they had in the same way, and that was Kansas City, the story would be what heart Patrick Mahomes has and Andy Reid, and they'd be sucking their fucking dicks.
Yeah, but
the Bears
here's the thing,
and
though.
it's just dismissed.
Let me play the devil's advocate here because I can understand why the national narrative is the way that it is. I don't like it, but it is what it is, and the reason that it is what it is because the Bears typically play terribly on national television. I mean, even when they win ugly on national TV, and so the national broadcasters and the national media, they put them up against the Kansas City Chiefs and the teams that typically look pretty good when they play on national TV. It's not they don't look like they're nervous playing in front of a national TV audience like the Bears have looked since I was a fucking kid. We were having trouble winning on Monday night. And so I think that the narrative doesn't bother me that much because I understand that the Bears have written part of that narrative. Now, the reason that I do this podcast and that we all work at the Bears Barroom is because we know better and we want to share the real stuff, a real look at the Bears because we read about them, we see every game, we sometimes will see every game a second or third or fourth time, and so we have an insight into what the real story is. But getting back to the national narrative, we being the Chicago Bears have earned that narrative.
Well, I can't necessarily contradict that. Perhaps that's 100% right. I'm just saying my larger point is that if that's any other the beloved teams, if they were 3-0 in the exact same manner, they would be praised for the comebacks.
Yeah.
Versus, but it was the Lions and, it was Atlanta, because, again, the Falcons are supposed to be a superior offense.
Yeah.
We're Matty Ice and, they were praising them. So when the Bears come back from that deficit, it's still kind of shit on. Although I will say, and rightfully so, that Nick Foles has respect from, the narrative writers because he's won the Super Bowl and he's earned that.
And
so
he's
my
earned
point
it. Exactly.
is when they struggle on defense, hypothetically, because hopefully they won't, but anytime, and this is my opinion, but anytime the Bears would struggle on defense, we would immediately twist it around and somehow blame it on Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because there's too many 3-and-outs and they're tired, or it would always just get deflected. Foles is not going to be their whipping boy because he's already been there, done that with Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl 52 MVP. So they can't – the Bears will come under more scrutiny now on defense because if they're playing poorly when Foles is in there, you can't – that doesn't stick to him.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted to comment also about J.J. Stankovitz, who was floored at the change. I was not floored. I was not floored at all because I have sensed that there was something going on. Now, again, I can't share every detail. I'll tell you when we're not recording, but there have been mumblings that some of the players were just getting really upset with the quarterback situation because the quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, wasn't being held to the same account that other players are. Let me give you one example. Allen Robinson went out of his way to defend Anthony Miller after week 2, saying it's not fair that Anthony is being criticized for that drop pass. And he talked about how he had to kind of build his ego back up and confidence back up and so forth. I took that to mean, what about the quarterback? What about the guy that's costing me money because he's fucking overthrowing or underthrowing or throwing to my right or throwing to my left or putting me in danger of getting injured because he's not accurate? So there's that. There's Akeem Hicks saying that he did not talk to Mitchell Trubisky. He's saying that's out of my pay grade to talk to him. If Akeem Hicks really had an admiration or appreciation, I should say, for Mitchell Trubisky, he would have gone up to him and said, hey, sorry, brother, but he did not. I think that there was a faction of the team that was starting to feel this guy, because he's the golden boy number 2 draft pick, is being given too many chances, and we got a backup guy here who has been to the show, he's been to the big time, and it's time for him to be in there because he's costing us money, because Trubisky is costing me money as a player, because he's costing us victories, because he's putting me in danger with his inaccurate throws. That's the kind of mentality that I saw there. So when I witnessed that change, I said to myself, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I think.
Well, conversely, Khalil Mack does seem to have some adoration for him.
Yes. That is true.
There's footage of Mack before the Giants game telling him to go out there and earn his respect, and he consoled him after he got benched too.
Mm-hmm. That is true, and I think that there are a lot of players on that team who were just being good teammates and went up to him and said positive things and so forth. I don't think that Allen Robinson hates Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think that Akeem Hicks hates Mitchell Trubisky. They love the way he worked hard. They were just unhappy with the results of his play, and that they have a team that's made for Super Bowl competition, for a run at the Super Bowl, but the only thing perhaps in their mind that was holding them back was the play of the quarterback.
Well, I can't, again, he needs to play better, or he needed to play better. But, I mean, the wide receivers need to play better. It's 2 straight weeks that Robinson's had touchdowns or passes taken away from him by the defender. Mm-hmm. And again, I still think it should have been a touchdown only because the call on the field was a touchdown. And allegedly for them to overturn it, it's supposed to be if and only if there's indisputable proof. And I don't think there was proof to overturn it. Had the call been interception, likewise, I don't think they could have said, well, there's enough to overturn it. But there's 2 weeks in a row that he's had plays where arguably he could have brought the pass down.
And arguably the ball could have been better thrown. And one was Foles and one was Trubisky.
Miller dropped Foles' touchdown this week as well. Of course, he caught the one at the L.
Right.
But earlier in the game on 4th and goal, he dropped that pass. He had the 2 the week before. And there have been lots of drops by the wide receivers is what I'm saying.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't just 10 who was underperforming, but I get your point is that it was frustrating. Some of the players are seemingly, so maybe what Boomer said is true, that he had to go to Foles almost to save just the morale of the team.
Mm-hmm. Now, I disagree with Boomer about one thing. The old John Madden saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, that's bullshit. That is, and I'm surprised that Madden even said that. Because it's so fucking inaccurate. Let me tell you something. Earl Morrall is considered the greatest backup in history. He backed up Johnny Unitas. He backed up Bob Greasy. He backed up Fran Tarkenton. He backed up Len Dawson. He backed up Y.A. Tittle. He backed up all those quarterbacks, and he could have easily have been the starting quarterback in maybe half of the NFL teams that existed back then.
He was NFL MVP as well in 1968.
Exactly. That season with the Dolphins that he took, Greasy got hurt.
72.
And thank you. And he took them all the way to the Super Bowl because of Greasy's injury. And so, I just disagree with that. And it's quite possible that the Bears do have 2 capable quarterbacks. Definitely not great quarterbacks, but that I feel like the depth.
I guess Madden, again, we didn't even hear John Madden say it, but just playing devil's advocate once more, maybe. I guess what he's saying to me is that in that situation with Earl Morrall, even when he won MVP in 68 was because Unitas was hurt. And in 72, he leads the Dolphins, like you said, to the Super Bowl, but they still started Greasy despite the fact he had been out since week 2.
Right.
So the point being that there wasn't a controversy. So even when, if Earl leads the team from week 3 through the AFC Championship game, hey, the other guy's back though, so you're the backup. You know what I mean? Versus okay, who's the starter here? I think that's the point, is that it's,
okay.
If you've got Don Strock coming off the bench to lead the comeback, it's okay, but that Strock is the backup, and who the starter is. Versus the Bears, conversely, it was like, who's the starter? Is it Mitch? Is it Foles? And there's it's kind of the way it was Mitch when it was Chase Daniel. You knew Chase Daniel wasn't coming back, or to be the starter over Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the point was. You have to have a clearly defined starter, or you have nothing.
Yeah, and I still just don't agree with that. And I can't think of any other great examples, but one example that comes to my mind, it was the whole Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton thing. I thought at the time, we were in really good shape. We had two quarterbacks that I thought were capable of winning us football games, and they both proved it for a small period of time. Kyle Orton was the perfect game manager. He played within himself, and when he was with the Bears, let's remember, he was a 4th-round draft pick. He was just getting acquainted with the league, and so he actually had better years outside of Chicago, and his brief stint with Chicago, when we made that trade for Jay Cutler, I was like, man, I kind of hate to see Kyle go.
I loved it. I hated Kyle Orton.
You hated him?
That in 2005, I know he's a rookie. I know he's in the 4th round. I get that. And he did the best he possibly could. But boy, he was fucking screen pass. I mean, just 2.2 yards of pass, and it drove me crazy.
And I remember hearing him on NFL Films on the sideline say, I don't care if we ever score as long as we win the game. And that really bugged the fuck out of me. I was like, dude, come on. You got to have some pride in your offense and score some points.
Yeah, well, his followers, because Urlacher liked him so much, would always say, well, if he'd have just gotten put in the Super Bowl, we'd have won, which is idiotic because Greasy was the backup, not Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton was number 3 in 2006.
That's just
but obviously, Rex had a lot of success in 2006. And then 2007 was split between Rex and then Greasy, then back to Rex, and then Orton got a couple starts at the end, and then he starts playing again in 2008, 3 years after his initial run, and he had a chance to make the playoffs. It was week 17. If you win, you're in against the Texans. He had a lead, and he still shit the bed and still lost, and it's like it's with Kyle Orton, you're never going to be more than 8-8 in my opinion, or 9-7, and I did see. Maybe I was wrong, but when I saw April 2nd, 2009, the Jay Cutler trade, I thought we were swinging for the fences. I thought, now we got a guy that could go 12-4 or 13-3. And for a long time, the first 4 or 5 years of Cutler's tenure, his record as a starter, he was something like 30-15, 34. He was really good. It was only during the Trestman era where those losses piled up and he finished 51-51. That's when he had no defense whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, when the Bears had a decent defense, because they weren't as good as they were earlier in Lovey's days, but they were good enough, I guess you could say. But Jay had no talent around him offensively then, and by the time they got Martellus Bennett and Alshon and Brandon Marshall, then suddenly they had no defense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they couldn't get it together, like he was throwing to Kellen Davis, and we had Greg Olsen, but we just traded him for who knows what reason, just because.
Well, the reason is because you draft a pass-catching tight end, and then you hire an offensive coordinator who doesn't like pass-catching tight ends. He likes he likes the 6 offensive linemen to be the tight end.
I still don't understand why even in, like I said earlier this season with the Bears, there's a place to work in a Leonard Fournette. There's a place that Mike Martz could have still utilized Greg Olsen. And it's maddening that, he won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator and led another team to the Super Bowl as head coach. So Martz probably doesn't get enough credit in the long run now from people that he deserves because of his run with Detroit and then the Bears as coordinator. But why would you just say, I don't want Greg Olsen?
Because
I don't care. You're a coach. You can find a way to fucking use it.
Because I would say, and this is a number out of my ass, but 75% of the people who coach in the NFL are just so fucking stubborn It's their way. You got to find players to do it my way. And it's almost rare that you find a coach who will set up an offense or a defense or the team to the talent that he has inherited or has been given to him, whatever. But all right, let's get down to modern day football, because Tom Zvayer said something in your clips highlight there. He talked about the offensive line. And I am sick and fucking tired of people talking about the offensive line narrative from last season.
No, they did have a tough game on Sunday, though.
Both
quarterbacks were getting hit frequently.
No, I wouldn't say frequently.
Even when Foles threw the touchdown at the end, he gets hit. It could have been an illegal blow to the head.
It was.
But he takes a shot. And there were several plays where Montgomery was hit like 5-6 yards in the backfield.
That is true. Of the 3 games, that was not their best game. But nonetheless, this offensive line is better than, I would say, at least 15 of the offensive lines in the National Football League.
At least better than what they were last year.
That is for fucking sure.
I will absolutely acquiesce to that. But there were several plays where, like I said, Montgomery's just collapsed in the backfield. People are hitting him as soon as he's losing 6 yards, and it's just not his fault.
Let's listen to what Matt Nagy said about the offensive line, and he said this at Monday's press conference. Let me cue it up.
I think our O-line right now has really done a good job at improving, especially from last year, and there's a lot that goes into that. What's really neat to see, and some of the things that I think you see some of these great O-lines that they have, is even when they're off the field, just hanging out all the time together. Those little things affect how you play on the field. And yesterday, there was a couple things that we saw with Atlanta that they, that were unscouted looks, and that's a part of football. And they got us on we had a few more negative runs yesterday than we've had in other games. But for the most part, I really like what Juan Castillo is doing with them. I like the way that they're handling his coaching and schematically with where we're at. I'm excited to see them keep growing. And then in regards to with the switch, again, both those quarterbacks have good relationships with all those guys, and having them both take reps in training camp probably has helped out more than a situation where you have a backup quarterback come in that hasn't had much reps with them.
The unscouted looks were the run blitzes that Dan Quinn's defense was throwing at the Bears. They looked at the tape and said, these guys are running the ball really fucking good. How are we going to stop that? They came up with a really nice package of run blitzes, and that's why Montgomery was being hit behind the line of scrimmage much more often than we've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season. And then the other issue is that this line, as much praise as I want to heap on them, the one thing that I think is their biggest Achilles heel is speed. And the Falcons have a lot of speed rushers, and so that is a problem, especially for the tackles, Leno and Massey. They're going to always have a hard time with speed guys. I mean, we've seen Leno whiff on defensive backs because they're so quick. He just doesn't have the footwork to keep up with them and put a body on them. So that's not going to change. And so the only thing that you can do as a football team is game plan around those deficiencies. And for the Bears offensive line against the Falcons, it just wasn't quite as good as we have seen in terms of the game planning and performance. But it's I still give this team's offensive line a passing grade.
Oh, I agree. That's what I was going to say. But let's say at the end of the game, when Matt Ryan throws the pick to Gibson, the Bears get the ball back. Atlanta still got, still has a timeout. If they go 3 and out, theoretically the Falcons could have gotten the ball back.
Yep.
But the first play, handoff to David Montgomery, he got like 12 or 13 yards, and that was fucking that. How many times over the last few years, I mean, at any point, even when, again, I wasn't a huge Forte guy, but let's just assume that I was. Going back the last decade, how many times have we seen the Bears offense You run the ball, get that first down, and be able to kneel the clock out. Not very many times. More often than not in that situation, they end up punting, and the defense gets a stop, and they hold on, and that's that. But I thought that was beautiful, that run, and then like it took me a split second to even fathom. Like I said, when it happened, I was like, holy shit, they got the first. That's it, right? They can't stop. Fuck, this game's over. I mean, I wasn't used to seeing that. Like I said, to be able to just run it and get that first down. Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. And your point, imagine, again, what we have right now on offense. I'm talking about the line. Again, you put that same line, again, we're talking differences in a decade, but the same quality offensive line we had right now, I mean, Jay Cutler's not getting sacked 9 or 10 times at the Meadowlands. So, I mean, he went through some shitty offensive lines. Like last week we picked on Jamarcus Webb, and rightfully so. So your point, the larger point, is that they're not as bad maybe as people are making them out to be. I agree with you.
I got to tell you, we had Jerry Angelo here on the Gabriel Schuster show. It was like maybe the second show that they did together, and I wish we would have saved him for later, because I would have had the show's host ask a couple of questions regarding those Cutler years, and specifically, Jerry, you go out and you trade for a quarterback, but you don't surround them with anyone. Come on, explain that to me. You kept building the defense up, but you've just figured that this quarterback that you gave a couple of first-round draft picks for was just going to do it on his own. You didn't give him an offensive line. You didn't give him a number one wide receiver. So,
what does Greg Gabriel say about that? Have you ever spoken with him about that? Because I know he is a passionate defender of Jerry Angelo.
No, but you know what? I will ask him that, and I will put that up on our Patreon page. That you just gave a great segue to our Patreon page. We now have a subscription service where our listeners for $5 a month can get extra audio from some of our shows, and for $10 a month they get that extra audio, but they also get discounts to our swag shop, and they get to participate, if they like, on a Zoom call with people like Dan Aguire, David Schuster,
nobody wants
John
to talk
Buffon.
to me, but
oh, of course
Greg
they do.
Gabriel's perfect for that, because that guy will tell you what the fuck is on his mind.
Oh my gosh, I love Greg Gabriel.
Mike Florio, he thinks Mike Florio is a fucking joke. I mean, he thinks Mike Florio is a complete and utter idiot.
And we could add Jason Lacamfora. He talked about him this week.
So.
Yes.
I mean, the classic song that was on the network, and that's because he's constantly wrong. He is.
Yes.
He's as bad as Jerome Boger was on Sunday.
Okay. Let's talk about Jerome, because you had a tweet that probably got like 10,000 screenings or whatever the term is on Twitter. You had a lot of action on that tweet. What was it exactly that you tweeted about the NFL official, the head referee?
Jerome Boger, I said, was probably the worst fucking official in the league. First off, I admit, being a person that works in radio, I've always been conscientious of dialects and accents and hearing the way people speak. So I've always thought he was a little bit too prissy. Like, I'm from Louisiana. I'm Jerome Boger, and I want to say first down. I want to be pretty when I say that'll be first down. He sounds like the wrestler Dusty Rhodes to me, the American Dream. But I've always hated to hear him speak. But beyond that, Sunday, again, it's certainly not a racial thing or anything. No. I have never really thought of, well, he can't do his job until Sunday. I mean, for him to make that mistake, first off, perhaps I'm just too big of a meathead. I didn't see roughing the passer on Matt Wright. They hit him. He fumbled. Matt got the ball. We recovered. And then madness.
Right.
Suddenly, there's 2 flags. He says that they offset, which, again, is bullshit, in my opinion. I did not see a roughing the passer. And then he says they offset and says both penalties are on the Bears. I'm like, wait a minute. How could both flags be on the Bears? And
because he made a mistake.
Oh my God! Like, how do you make that mistake as a professional fucking official? So I guess New York buzzes him. And there was one sequence late in the game. I forget what what happened, but the Bears are moving the ball, and it's a 3rd down, and the play is over, and they're breaking the huddle to come out for 4th down, and he throws a flag like 2 minutes after the play, saying that the Bears had an illegal shift or illegal motion.
Right.
And they replayed the 3rd down, and then Foles ended up converting the 1st down anyway.
Right.
But I'm like, how can you throw a flag 2 minutes after the play is over? And there's no footage of it. I mean, just making this shit up. And then there's the flag where Cohen gets hit. Just a sickening on. He's trying to call for a fair catch. Maybe the argument is he was pushed. I didn't see him pushed because I didn't see the play long enough. But they pick up that flag. And then, like I said, the call on the field in the corner is a touchdown, and the tie supposedly goes to the offense, and you're not supposed to overturn it unless there's clear evidence to do that. And of course, you knew when he come out, I knew he was going to overturn it. And then the second one, I was like, well, I didn't. Maybe Miller did drop it there, but the call on the field was initially touched. Doesn't matter. He's overturning it. I just felt he was deplorable on Sunday. And every flag was on the Bears until finally late there was a couple on the Falcons. But it's like they could have been in the neutral zone. He's calling false start, though.
I typically don't like to complain about the officials, although you will if you do an autopsy of my Twitter account, you will see that I complain a lot about the officials. But I try not to, because I think a lot of times calls even out. And I think that sometimes as passionate fans, we tend to kind of look at it from a Bears fan perspective and not see the terrible calls that they're making or not making on behalf of the other team. But in this case, I have to agree with you 100%. This was a terribly, terribly officiated game, and it was the Bears that got the brunt of the poor calls on this. And and let's go back to that the roughing the passer call. I love this soundbite from Akeem Hicks. This was on Sunday when he was asked about the call that was made on him. There were two roughing the passer calls, and this was his reaction to the call.
That's a tough one, man. I'm just playing football, and there's no ill will towards anybody. I am trying to be physical, but there's no ill will and just bad intention, right? So you accept the call for what it is, but I think I can speak for, the people that watch the game, and they want to see people get hit. They want to see the quarterback, roughed up a little bit. You don't want him to stand in the pocket and just go on vacation. You want him to feel you around him. So I accept the call for what it is, but I would hope that we would look at that sometime maybe in the offseason and say, hey, let's let him hit the quarterback for a second.
Absolutely. As long as you don't hit him in the head, as long as you don't hit him in the knee, hit him and hit him hard. And if you hit him a second after he releases the ball, don't throw a fucking flag. Please don't. It's just
and
terrible.
The one where they claimed that, I don't remember who the call was on. It was on the Bears. I don't remember which player, but they basically asserted the Aaron Rodgers rule from where you put too much weight on him. I think that was on Hicks, right?
That was on Hicks.
Yeah, God, that was a bullshit call.
Yes.
That fucking official, well, I mean, he could ruin, you could be getting ready to come, and he could find a way to fucking ruin your orgasm. I'm telling you, he was absolutely abysmal on Sunday. He should, like, if they didn't have a union, and I'm not trying to be political, I'm just saying that fucker should have been fired. And Jonathan Vilma fucking blew ass on the mic, too. The whole first half, he just was forcing in anecdotes about the 2009 New Orleans Saints, which are not fucking relevant now in any capacity. We get it. You won the Super Bowl. I'm glad. I hated Peyton Manning. So, yeah, I was glad you won. And I was glad Brett Favre didn't win again. So, yeah, but it's not time to talk about that right now. And the whole first half was just shitting on Trubisky. We get it. You don't like Trubisky. I mean,
to Vilma's,
you're supposed to be objective, though.
Yes, but to Vilma's defense, not that it should not excuse some of the stupid things that he said. But I can't believe that the network put him, he's a rookie. This is his first year doing it. And for 3 weeks, he's had 3 different play-by-play guys. He's worked with 3
I don't know who he had
different
last
crews.
week, but I know he had Dick Stockton week 1 because of Kenny Albert and the coronavirus thing.
Right.
So,
and I don't know who he had last week either, but there was an article by Richard Deitch in the Athletic. He covers sports media, and he said that Vilma has been on 3 different crews in 3 different weeks, and that's just not fair to Vilma or any young broadcaster, any inexperienced broadcaster. All right, I want to, before we dive into the defense, I want to talk a little bit more about the offense. And one of the things that I was really fucking impressed with Nick Foles on was he comes into the game and you can kind of tell there's a different mojo going on. He wasn't great by any means with those early throws. There were some misses. He had Allen Robinson down the left sideline. He missed through. But on 4th down and 6, I swear to God, I'm going to probably remember this play until the day that I die. They're trailing by 3 scores. It's 4th down and 6. And when the play is developing, I say to myself, oh, fucking Nagy is doing it again. He's going for a deep pass when all he needs to do is get to the sticks.
Which happened on the overthrow, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, my God. 3rd and 2. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And so, but here was Nick Foles. He throws a gorgeous pass to Ted Ginn. And in fact, I've got the replay and I've got Matt Nagy talking about the pass. Let's listen.
On 4th down, 4th and 6, Foles complete to a wide-open Ted Ginn Jr. So the Bears convert on 4th down. It's the first catch of the season for Ginn, 29-yard connection.
They're playing cover 2 right now. Denard, you see him flex out. He's all the way to the hash, and that is a beautiful ball by Nick Foles. We've seen him throw that ball many times with many different teams. He puts it right in the sweet spot for Ted Ginn Jr.
So a new set of downs.
Matt, the 4th and 6th conversion you guys had where Nick threw from the far hash over to the numbers to Ginn. What stands out to you going back and watching the read on that play that Foles had and then the conviction with which he made that throw?
Yeah, JJ, that's a good point. That was the best play in the football game. Hands down, it's not even close. That was the best play. There's other plays that were good. The last play of the game you could put right there with it. Obviously, that was a big – but you don't get to that last play that Anthony catches for a touchdown unless you make that 4th and 6. The reason I say that was the best play was because that's clinic tape for a cover 2 play. And so we had our chip blocks down below. We had our protection was good. Our timing was good. The route was perfect. The throw was perfect. In a crunch time situation, you got to have it 4th and 6 to extend the game. That was one of my favorite plays of the game. So it was well run and well executed.
I love that play. I love Matt Nagy's explanation of it. And to me, that play tells me maybe he's got the quarterback here that can run his offense the way he wants it run. Who can run it effectively is what I should say.
That worries me in one aspect. Because, like I said, I'm afraid he'll just be in the shotgun every other play.
I agree.
Which, again, maybe that's okay for Foles, and maybe that's good for Allen Robinson statistically. But I think that David Montgomery has shown that he's a better runner when the quarterback is behind center.
Absolutely. You've just hit on a huge point that is going to – this is going to be one of the 3 things. You know how people put 3 things to watch in this upcoming game. That probably is going to be number 1, is how many times is Foles going to be under center? Are they going to deviate away from what worked so well in the first 2 games, which was having Trubisky under center and having David Montgomery take handoffs from that center, from that under center position? And he was averaging over 5 yards a carry. And so if they're going to deviate from that and go back to more shotgun, how is that going to hurt the run game? And if it does, then we're back to where we were last year. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and that concerns me. But your point before, I agree with it. Just, again, I've been a supporter of Trubisky, but the offense did feel like it had a rhythm that it didn't have when he was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you remember the opening game in 2018, when against the Packers, when they had the big lead, but how did they get that lead? Because Mitch came out opening drive of the season, they went straight down the field, just boom, 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 touchdown.
Right.
And Mitch hasn't really been able to regain that. Like he had the 6 touchdowns against Tampa, but at some point when the league caught up to him, he never was able to regain that early mojo or that early success that he had. And the offense never really had that fluidity that immediately it seemed to have intangible rhythm with Foles in there. So I agree with you. That throw to Ted Ginn was huge, especially on 4th down. And like you said, they gained 19 yards out of it.
Yes.
In the 4th and goal should have been a touch. I mean, the guy threw 5 touchdowns and only 3 of them counted.
Right. 29 yards.
29 yards quarter,
was
right?
I'm sorry, 29 yards was the Ginn throw. But please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that was a tremendous throw. Although I was saying like the one that Mitch missed at the end of the first half. I'm like, God, it's 4th and 2. Why are we throwing 50 yards downfield? Just, do that on 1st down.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. And Nagy does that so often where it's 4th and short or 3rd and short, and he's going for a big play, and like you're killing yourself.
Yeah, he always wants to outsmart the other team or something.
And that would be a brilliant play call if you had a quarterback who was much more efficient at connecting on long passes, but we all know that that's Trubisky's biggest weakness is hitting the long pass. So why are you continually calling it? And it's like you want to see him fail. I didn't get it.
His run at the end of the first half.
Oh, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me. Do you remember the game against Detroit? Yeah, you have to, because the Lions. We missed the field goal, and Tom Brenneman said, "Holy Moses!" That was the last game for what was that fucking guy's name that followed Robbie, the kicker?
Connor
Barth. Yeah, it was his last kick. He was finally gone. But Mitch had a huge run on 4th down.
Yes.
In that game, he got through 3 tackles from the Lions and broke free.
Right.
And that run again, the one Sunday was 45 yards or. It had more distance than the one against the Lions, but it made me think of that. And he had, like I said, going back to that Lion game, he had it. I'm going to sound so corny when I say this, but it's like what Apollo was saying to Rocky in Rocky 3. He had the eye of the tiger then, and he kind of doesn't now. He doesn't. He's just so worried about failure or being benched or being criticized, and I understand why, but he seemed to have a swagger to him early on that he does not have now, that Foles does have, and I think he acquired that by his success 2 years ago.
All right, are we ready to talk about the defense? Your favorite topic?
Well, yeah. Was there anything else to touch on the offense? Like I said, I think
I'm sure there is. I mean, I'm telling you, we could talk another 3 hours on the offense. There's a lot to talk.
I think the receivers have to catch the ball.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the tight ends. I'm still surprised. That's one thing I want to say.
Okay.
Why is it when we draft somebody young, whether it was Shaheen or now Kmet, we're like, well, they're young. We really don't want to get them involved. And it's like if this same guy was in Green Bay, he would be catching 40 fucking touchdowns. And why do we restrict our rookies? Maybe Shaheen didn't deserve an opportunity because he couldn't stay healthy, but it just felt like they never really gave him the chances that Jimmy Graham and the opportunities the Graham is getting right now down at the goal line. Shaheen was big.
Yeah.
Isolate him on the side, that Herman Moore play that we're doing now with Jimmy Graham.
Right.
And it just, who knows what Cole Kmet is because we're not even trying.
Well, I do think that the reason we're not trying is because they see him in practice and they're saying, okay, he's not quite there yet. And he is playing a lot of snaps. I mean, I didn't see the percentage of snaps for the game against Atlanta, but the first 2 weeks he was playing about 50% of the snaps, which is quite a bit for a rookie tight end and a team that has 2 other tight ends. He's essentially the third stringer because he's not the blocking tight end. I forget what it is called, the Y, the E, the Z, whatever it is.
Right.
That belongs to Harris, and he's not the pass catching tight end. That belongs to Graham. But he is seeing a lot of snaps, and I'm not worried yet. And Berlissimo says that one of the reasons he didn't like Cole Kmet coming out of Notre Dame as a second-round draft pick was because he felt like his pass patterns, the way he runs his pass patterns, needed a lot of work. And so maybe that's true. Maybe that's why there isn't a lot of confidence in getting him involved in the passing attack yet. But he is getting a lot of valuable experience in terms of being out there. And Cole Kmet himself said this week, or was it late last week, that, what have you learned the most? And he said, that I can play in this league, that I have the physical tools to play in this league. So I'm being patient. I suspect that by around midseason, Cole Kmet is going to be making some nice catches, and he's going to be a presence out there, a bigger presence than he is now. That's for sure.
Well, I would just say at the goal line this week, assuming there's a game this Sunday.
There is.
COVID
Come
madness.
on. Forget the COVID stuff.
Okay, but assuming there's a game Sunday, you have to figure how many touchdowns does Graham have now? 4?
I want to say it's 3, but I could be 4. I'll check it out while you continue.
Either way, he's becoming a factor down there, and they can't dispute that. So, why not have them both in the game at the same time? And if Graham gets some coverage, then touchdown commit.
Absolutely.
At the goal line. But here's a question I have for you. And I think I saw that they brought the kid from the practice squad up. But with Cohen's injury, when I knew as soon as I saw it, he was done. I mean, period. I tweeted that he was out for the season. And again, that was just from seeing the tape or the film, the game live.
Right.
And it was just, you just knew his knee was gone. It was horrible. And I'm so glad that he got paid beforehand, because the same thing that happened to Allen Robinson in Jacksonville was going to happen to Cohen if he hadn't gotten signed already. Mm-hmm. They're going to say, you're coming off that knee injury, you little man, and he signed it 8 days before he got hurt, so good for him, really. And I hope he comes back well and still has his speed. But having said that, I know you've been calling for Ryan Nall, and I hope Nall gets an opportunity and comes through. But do you think, and I know that, again, they've already brought the kid up from the practice squad, do they look at somebody else? I know Freeman signed with the Giants now, but do you think about the veteran running back somewhere now?
No, I don't think so. I truly
Spencer Ware, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think so. I really do believe that there's a number of factors involved, but primarily is I think they don't want to increase their payroll in any way, because I think that they want to sign
Snacks, I hope.
No, I think they want to lock in Allen Robinson.
Well, yeah, but I hope that Snacks, you saw on Twitter, was going back with Cordero, said he's going to try to get a visit with the Bears.
Yeah, I saw that. But you know what? I saw Snacks play last year with the Lions. He's a shadow of himself. And has he been staying, a guy named Snacks, has he been staying in shape to play football? If he signs with the Bears, it's going to be weeks before, he can do anything. I think
we need some help. You saw what Todd Gurley looked like, and Todd Gurley's done, man.
Yeah. Well, he didn't look done against the Bears, but that's probably because
he's playing the Bears.
Yes, I know. But I'm gonna hope that these guys that they've picked up over the last couple of weeks, the kid from the Steelers who was like 6'7", 350 pounds, that he can help at the nose tackle position, that Bilal Nichols is going to continue to improve at the nose tackle.
We heard his name a few times Sunday.
Yeah, we did. And he did an interview late last week, and he said Eddie Goldman has been calling him almost every day, picking up his spirits, giving him tips, talking to him and so forth. So that's good news. And, they put somebody on the practice squad today. I forgot the kid's name.
I saw that.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm just a little concerned that whether Snacks Harrison is really going to be anything to crow about. But you're absolutely right. They do need help at that position. Now, darn it, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to bring up something.
Were we transitioning to defense?
Yeah, let's do that. I think I had one more point about the offense, but fuck it.
I hate that Cohen got hurt like that, though. Again,
yes.
Calling for a fair catch, and he was planted, wasn't defending himself because he just thought he was going to do a fair catch. It really sickening. I mean, it wasn't as bad as Joe Theismann. Clearly, he didn't have a compound fracture, but it was nasty when you saw it,
It was nasty, and I was upset, too, that they picked up the flag.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, Jesus. Anyway, Jimmy Graham does have 3 touchdowns this year, and so I got the over-under at 8 for him. He's probably going to get 10 touchdowns this year. It's so good to see him having some effectiveness and stories that he doesn't block well anymore. I think that's an old narrative. I think he's corrected that. He's playing well. He's not playing absolutely perfect football. He's made some mistakes. He's dropped a couple passes and stuff, but he's been a better signing than I anticipated, and so that's good.
I don't know. Again, it seems like every time I watch the Packers, they win. So, I watched some of the New Orleans game, so fucking course they won. So I try to not watch Green Bay as much as I can. I'm convinced, the game they lost to the Cardinals when they got Mike McCarthy fired.
Yeah.
I was like, if I watch 2 seconds of this game, they will end up winning. So I didn't watch any of it. So I don't know what Jimmy Graham wasn't doing in Green Bay. I didn't see enough of it. I don't know why the people, seemed like when I was watching, he was catching passes on us. Pretty sure he caught a touchdown on opening night last year against us, the 100th season, week 1, Soldier Field, and we shit the bed. So 10-3. I'm pretty sure he's the one who had the touchdown.
Yeah. Well,
but in Seattle, my point was just going to say in Seattle, it felt like they never gave him the opportunity to do what the Bears are doing, which is to try to give him to go up and get it. Like a rebound, go get the touchdown. Use your 6-7 frame. I never really saw that. New Orleans did that all the time.
Yes.
It didn't seem like Seattle utilized him to his ability. I don't know what happened in Green Bay because I just didn't see enough of him. And then maybe I'm superstitious and maybe that's stupid, but I'm telling you, if I watch Green Bay or Minnesota, they win. So I've watched 0 fucking minutes of the Vikings this year, and that's why they're 0-3. I got to keep it right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. They've got the COVID shutdown right now.
They do. They do.
If you're a Titans fan, just think for a second. I know you wanting to go on. I was thinking about this because most of the people where I met are Steelers fans, and Pittsburgh is going to play, in theory, Tennessee this weekend. Now, they've already said it could be Monday, could be Tuesday. But let's assume they don't even open the facility till Saturday. I mean, and they play on Sunday or Monday. They've had no time to practice.
None.
I mean, can they really do that? Imagine if that was the Bears and we were going to play Green Bay. How would you feel?
I would feel awful about it, but this is
what I'm saying. I don't know if they can. Can they really do that?
This is out of the ordinary.
I mean, Minnesota's shut down right now too.
Yeah, this is out of the ordinary. So you can't put the old paradigm of
If this happened to the Bears, and let's say Green Bay was the team that couldn't practice, they would come out and still beat us with no practice. Now, I'm not saying the Bears won't win this year. I hope they do. But I'm saying if it had ever happened before, it would be so Bears to lose to the team that had no practice.
It's like you live in Chicago, man. You got a Chicagoans mentality.
What's the weather like there today, by the way? Because I saw Kaplan's 29-mile walk was today.
It's beautiful football weather. It's in the 60s, and it's going to be in the 60s for the next week or so. I saw the 10-day forecast, and it's just football weather. It's beautiful. The leaves are starting to come down. I love this time of the year. It's cool and crisp out here. I wish you were out here so we could go to the bars and pick up some chicks.
Yeah, I saw that. I guess Greg Braggs was with Cap, or was going to be. I don't know if he ended. I'm just glad he got to do it then, because today here we had been having temperatures in the 70s, and today we just had a monsoon literally all day.
Oh no!
And as a result, we're going to be around 50 degrees the rest of the week. It's sunny, but anyway, it rained all day today, so I kept thinking about David Kaplan. I was like, God, I hope Cap's not walking in the fucking rain 29 miles.
No, I saw he was well bundled up. I saw the first few miles, but I lost touch. I'm assuming that it was a success. And
is that 10 hours? How long is 29 miles?
For me, it would be about 3
10
weeks.
miles is at least 3.5 hours, right?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Times 3.
Right. I don't know. I don't know
I bet
why.
that's like a 12-hour walk.
Yeah. I don't know why Greg Braggs would be involved in anything like that. Just when I last saw him, Greg Braggs was 50 pounds overweight. And I know that
can't make fun of that, but yeah.
Yeah. And I know that he's been on a diet. He's probably in much better health now, but still, you don't do that. not a year after you had all this extra weight. Anyway, let's talk about the defense because you always have some provocative thoughts about this defense. But let's start by hearing Matt Nagy talk about the performance of the defense and how he feels the defense is playing.
I feel like with our defense right now, that they are getting critical stops at critical moments.
Yes.
Whether it's at the end of the half, end of a game, and then on third downs. We had a few yesterday that got, they kept them on the field with some late hits. But I really do like where our defense is at right now. I think 2 out of the 3 games we've been affecting the quarterback. So I think we can definitely get better, but I like where we're at.
You agree?
Do I like? Do I agree that I like where we are, or that we can get better?
Both.
I do not like where we are, but I think we can. I don't know why we couldn't get better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's everyone's want to come down hard on Trevathan now, and again, me too. In the first week, especially, I don't know if it can't just be Danny Trevathan. You're getting gashed on the running game and then giving up passes, and I don't know, man. They got the stop this week when they needed it. You told me to relax, like an Aaron Rodgers thing. I said, can they get the stop now? After they got the lead, and you said, just relax, have faith. And I was like, I'm trying to. And then Gibson got the interception. So it did seem that Foles' presence did seem to put life in the defense too.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to play with more
and
something.
Akeem said that too. He said, yeah, definitely when the offense goes out there and does some special things, it definitely fires us up. And when they have those long play series and we're able to go out there, refreshed and ready to play, we've got some energy. So that is definitely true. But here's my point about this defense. And yes, they can definitely get better. But this is the new NFL where people are, you expect teams to score 20 to 40 points a game. And this Bears defense is not giving up those kind of points. They faced a quarterback who in the first week of the season threw for over 450 yards. In the second week of the season, threw for over 350 yards and had 4 touchdown passes. And they held that quarterback to 238 yards passing and 1 touchdown pass.
Yeah, but he was missing 2 of his receivers too.
All right.
Including Julio Jones.
He was missing Julio Jones, but nonetheless, they held him. I don't care. If we could look at, in the history of sports, teams have gone on to win, championships. And you can say, well, they won because, the other team, their star player was hurt in week 3 or, whatever.
No. Your points, again, I agree. But my point is first play of the game, they go deep and Calvin Ridley just is scorching Eddie Jackson. And it just seems like there's always something like that. A breakdown, Todd Gurley's running for 25 yards and scoring. Some guy named Brian Hill that I'd never even heard of is running for a touchdown, unmolested, untouched. Just fuck, man. I'm just saying it's not. If this were the Mark Trestman Bears defense, I would be like, they're doing the best they can, but it's just that and I'll put myself in there. I don't want to say that I'm better than anybody else. I'll just say we as Bear fans say shit like that this is the best defense in the league all the time. And that's just not true.
It isn't.
That's why I take umbrage with the defense, is because we just beat our chest and pound it and say, oh, we're so great, and we suck each other's dicks about how tough the defense is. And this defense never, ever gets off the field when it needs to, but it did Sunday. They got the interception at the end of the game. Thank God. and maybe that's the start of something. I haven't seen much from that Gibson guy, or I keep wanting to call him Gibson with a B.
I know. I had trouble pronouncing it today too. I was doing a track. It's Gibson.
Yeah, and the other guy's name's Gibson too, the linebacker.
Yeah, that's right.
The one that's usually not active.
Right.
But what happened to 94 this week? I didn't see him at all.
94 is who?
Our big signing. We're going to put him with Khalil Mack. We're going to put him.
Oh, Robert Quinn.
Yeah. Where was he at? I didn't even. Did he have a tackle?
I don't think so. I'll double check.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't even see Robert Quinn make an impactful play at all Sunday. Maybe he's still hurt too. But if I would really like it if maybe again they're trying to get some sort of competitive advantage. But if he wasn't even on the injury report this week from Friday, so he's supposed to be a go. Then why do our linebackers not make any plays? I just don't understand. And if they're hurt, just say they're fucking hurt,
Well, nobody wants to give the other team a competitive advantage and say, well, this guy's got a shoulder injury, so that way the opponent goes out there and smashes that shoulder,
I mean, but you see my point, though, right?
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to say that like that tweet I sent you, somebody else said, I forget who it was, that intimated that we as Bear fans just say that Mac is hurt only so that we can protect him, and from his average play. And I don't think that's true. I really don't. I don't think that he's not hurt, and they're just using that as a crutch to substitute for him not playing the way he did 2 years ago. I really don't think that's the case. And I'm sure the guy is battling a knee or something
for sure.
That's hindering his play. So I don't dispute that, but it just feels like a lot of our defensive players generally are inconsistent, whether they'll have a good game and then the next game they suck. That's simplistic, but the only guy that we really, really have that seems like game in, game out is dependable is Kyle Fuller. It feels like Fuller's a fucking man back there now. And he had a couple of years where he was suspect, but he makes great tackles. He's obviously good on coverage, but he's a sure tackler. He's a tremendous tackler.
He really is. But I'm not as hard on this defense as you are. I think Eddie Jackson has had a phenomenal year. I think there's only been a couple of plays where I don't know. I wouldn't. Outside of that play to open the game. What other play did he have a mishap that was something that got you pissed off at?
Well, it didn't get me pissed off. I didn't even get mad at that. I just thought, oh, fuck. That's just what I thought. I wasn't saying, oh, Eddie sucks or anything like that because I like him and I want him to be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was saying, okay, guys, hold him to a field goal. That's what I was hoping.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not down so much on the defense, like I said, it could be one of those games with the Falcons where, they're giving up big gashes on the run and then big plays in the air and a lot of points and we still win. And then you turn on the radio and somebody's saying that the Bears are the best defense in the league. And I'm like, it's just, it's, I don't want to equate it to politics. It would be like someone who constantly, I don't want to shit on anybody that's listening to a Republican, but it would, that's my opinion, not the networks, that a lot of Trump supporters ignore facts and just blindly follow him. That's my opinion, not yours, not the networks, no one, just mine. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to offend anybody that does like him.
Oh, don't worry. Go ahead and offend people.
Well, I don't want to just make this about politics. Everyone knows that I'm not a fan of his in any way. So, but I think the people that are like the tax story this week, if that were Obama, oh my God. Anything that he does, if that were Obama, they would just be all over it. And then Mitch McConnell and the double speak with the justice. But anyway, my point is we do the same thing with our defense. Regardless of how many stats, how many yards we give up, at the end of the day, we still have to protect them and say, our defense is great. Our defense is number one. And I'm like, God damn it, it's not 1985 anymore. But we sit there and we crutch on how great the defense is. That's the reason I take exception to it. It's not so. It's just because everyone thinks that.
Robert
it's almost
Quinn.
like everybody thought Urlacher was still great in like 2012. I'm like, no, he's not. But
he's awful. He was awful.
But we can't. We can't as Bear fans. We don't seem to have that ability to, unless it's just really, really going awful, like with Trestman in 2013 and 14, where the defense is 31st in the league or last in the league, 32nd. For the most part, we can't rationalize that our defense isn't top 5 or isn't top 10. We just won't do it. It doesn't matter. We still come out and say, well, the equivalency of saying that's fake news. We're good. We're the best. We're the best. And that bothers me because we're not the best.
Robert Quinn played 37 snaps, which is 47% of the defensive snaps, and was not on the stat line. But I will give you, besides, I mean, he's clearly not himself. He's not 100%, and let's hope that he gets there. But yeah, I mean, I was not thrilled by the signing because, you know, he did have a good year with the Dallas Cowboys, but prior to that, he went a couple of years where he was basically non-existent. So I hate signing these old guys like a Jimmy Graham and a Robert Quinn. Now, Graham is proving me wrong. Quinn so far has not done anything other than a strip sack on his very first play. Hopefully he gets to a point where he can contribute and be a force. But I got to tell you, you cited Kyle Fuller. I think Eddie Jackson has played well. I think Akeem Hicks has played well. I think Roquan Smith has played well. I think that the rookie Jalen Johnson has played very well for a rookie. He's shown a lot of promise, and he's only going to get better and better. I think there's a lot of individual performances in this defense that deserve accolades, and I think that overall this team defense is better than 25 of the other teams in the NFL, or definitely 20. This is a really good defense, and the complaints that you cite about this defense can be said about any other fucking defense in the NFL.
No, but I think that's a cop-out, though, because look at what the Giants did against San Francisco this week. Daniel Jones, or whatever that fucking guy's name is, they were blown out. They didn't even have Garoppolo, and it was on the Giants field. I know the fans weren't there, but they just ran them off the field. Like, that guy did nothing against the 49er defense. The Bears made him look like an up-and-coming, like, this guy is going to be a Pro Bowler next season.
No way. Are you talking about Daniel Jones? The Bears made Daniel Jones look like a pro.
Fucking right. Daniel Jones was going straight down the field.
On one drive. That's
the
all.
whole second half. The whole second half, the Giants were driving down the field.
How many points did they score in that second half? How many points? Because isn't that what we judge defenses on, is how many points they give up?
Well, they almost gave up at the end too, so it's like, that's what I'm saying. We're like ignore like
I almost fucked Maria Conchita Alonso, but I didn't.
But he went up and down the field. I mean, you can almost. Well, it's Matthew Stafford. Stafford's a very good quarterback, and maybe underrated to a degree. So if Detroit's doing that, it's opening day. You make excuses, okay. But Daniel Jones did play well against us, and it was without his running back. And Matt Ryan, I guess, maybe underperformed in the second half. But I'm just saying they've been gashed in the running game, and the quarterbacks have looked good against them too. So you can, again, beat your chest about points, but again, that's almost like me coming back with a stat on offense.
How many touchdown passes did Daniel Jones throw against the Bears?
I don't even remember how they scored.
It's 0.0.
The back from New England.
He throws an interception. He was sacked 4 times. He had a QBR of 45.1. So I don't know what the fuck you saw.
They marched up and down the field the entire second half, and we got lucky to win that game, which I'm happy about, ecstatic about. But the fact is, they should have stopped that bum the other side of the field. Remember last year against the Lions, I joked and called him Dick Trickle, but Jeff Driscoll or whatever, and the bum the Lions had. Both of those guys in both of those games against the Lions, they were both competitive. The Bears never make the same thing when Brock Osweiler was starting in Miami. I was like, Every time Brock Osweiler gets his first start with whatever team he's on, he beats the Bears with no practice, no anything. Again, I remember telling a couple of people they're no longer the network. I was like, hey, man, I'm not happy about Osweiler playing today. Oh, it's Brock Osweiler. I was like, what about the Texan game? What about the Bronco game? I'm just saying, whenever it's a bad quarterback, they're going to have their best day ever against this defense. And I don't understand why. Why is that? Nick Mullins in San Francisco, when Garoppolo was hurt a couple of years ago, week 16, Nick Mullins looked really good against us. It's always like the bum always has his best day against the Bears defense. And if we were top 5 or top 10 or top 3 or the best, we would exploit someone like that and just beat the shit out of them.
So we're going to be 4-0 this week because we're playing Phillip Rivers, right? So
hope so. I sure fucking hope so. I honestly can't believe that the Colts are favored. Even my friend, who is a lifelong, he's not a bandwagon, a lifelong Kansas City fan, has been for over 20 years, and was stuck with them, when they were losing with Marty every year in the playoffs. He bets a lot. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm betting hard on your Bears this week. He's like, I can't believe that 45-year-old Phillip Rivers and the Colts are favored. He's like, I just can't believe. He's like, easy money. That he plays FanDuel and all that stuff every week. But he's like, I can't believe. He's like, I'm going hard on the Bears this week. So I figured just the home field alone would give the Bears 3 points. And the Colts are favored. I thought the Bears would be favored by 4 or 5 with Foles in there, honestly. Maybe 6.
Rivers has been sacked twice, has thrown 3 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. His QBR is 63.1. There's certainly, in numbers-wise, and I haven't seen any of the tape on the Colts' 3 games this season, so I can't comment intelligently.
Their back is supposed to be good, the one that replaced Mack.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. I mean, that guy was outstanding in college football, and it's no surprise that he's playing well. He's got, 182 yards in 3 games. He's averaging only 3.8, but he had a really good game last week, and it appears.
They play the Jets. I mean, if the league's going to shit on the Bears opponents, they play the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, they played the Jets. Yeah. Come on. I don't even know who else they've played. I know they're 2-1, right?
You're correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't want to shit on Rivers because I did last year, and the Chargers came in here and beat us. So that reminds me. Last year, when we lost to Phillip Rivers, Eddie Pinheiro missed a kick, and we lost. Yeah. Right? Not to be redundant. This week, is this not the week that they could activate Pinheiro? And if so, for fuck's sake, can we get rid of Santos?
He is eligible to come off the IR this week, and so whether will
Santos
or not, I think we'll know Wednesday or Thursday after practice. I'm sure that they'll look at him kick on Wednesday and then see how he feels on Thursday, and then see him kick again on Friday and make the decision on Saturday. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the scenario there, and hopefully Eddie P is ready to go because I agree with you. Santos is a bust.
He is like, it seems to be that he can, I don't want to jinx him in case he's kicking Sunday, but it feels like if it's like 40 and less, he's solid. But there's a kicker, there's a high school close by here called Richlands, and their kicker's name was Levi Forrest. I don't know because Penn State hasn't played this year, right?
Correct.
I don't watch college football, but I know he signed there. I don't know if he's getting redshirted or whatever. But in high school, almost every week that kid was making 57-yard field goals. He made several 55, 54, 57. He's supposed to have got a scholarship with Penn State. And again, I was like, this kid is born in like 2005. Or whatever, and he's busting 57-yard field goals, and we can't get a kicker at Soldier Field ever to consistently hit, other than Robbie, over 50 yards. But the opponents always nail them in Chicago. Doesn't matter if it's windy, doesn't matter if it's snowing. The opponents always make it, but not our guy.
It's true.
It's fucking maddening.
The Bears are 4 out of 6 at field goal attempts this year. They are 27th in the NFL. That's how bad that number is. And not going to get any better. And I'm not even sure Eddie Pinheiro is the guy. I hope that he is.
I don't know either.
He's got a good, strong leg, but,
he made that kick in Denver.
He did?
That was clutch, and you just thought, man, this'll.
And then after that, he slumped.
His moment, his coming out party. I remember Steve Zimmerman's video, and he was at the game, and just the emotion. It just felt so good to beat Vic Fangio. You don't want to lose to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the year, he was quite just,
Yeah.
Just okay. Nothing stood out like that kick against the Broncos, and maybe it was the altitude. Who knows?
Now, one of the things I'm looking forward to this week is the battle between Akeem Hicks and Quentin Nelson. Anyone that
I know you love Quentin Nelson.
I just think he is a phenomenal offensive lineman. He is the John Hanna of our age, except he plays the guard position. And anybody that's heard me and my diatribes, I think the guard has supplanted the offensive tackle as the most important position.
Well, that started with Drew Brees.
That started with Drew Brees. That is correct.
Because he's short, and you got to have protection up the middle with the center and the two guards because he's so fucking short.
Right. And what's happened in the NFL is that it's a quick passing attack now. The days of a 5 and 7 step drop are gone, and the quarterback doesn't have to hold the ball for 5 seconds anymore, which is why the offensive tackle isn't as important. Not to say that it's not important. Of course it is. You still need super athletic big men to play those tackle positions. But now, because the ball is coming out much quicker, what quarterbacks prefer is that pocket, that small pocket in between the two guards in the center. They prefer that to be clean so that they can step up if necessary and complete those short little dink passes that every fucking offense is running. And so you need good guards. And that's where the running game is. 70% of your runs are up the middle between the center and the guard, between the guard and the tackle. That's where the action is. And so you need good guards. And that's why I fell in love with Quentin Nelson, because he is definitely the best guard in college football. This guy just blew my mind. And I was certain, absolutely certain, that he was going to be a big NFL star, and he has proven me right. Just like I was certain that Patrick Mahomes was going to, I didn't think Patrick Mahomes was going to be this godly, but I did love Patrick Mahomes of all the quarterbacks that came out that year, Deshaun Watson, Trubisky, and the kid from Notre Dame. Nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to this battle between Hicks and Quentin Nelson. Who else on this Indianapolis Colts team are you looking forward to seeing besides Rivers and my man Quentin Nelson?
I do not watch the AFC very often. Mm-hmm. If I do, it's usually, I don't know. I don't, before Kansas City won the Super Bowl, but I always kind of watched Oakland or maybe Denver, like the late game, or whatever, like in the West Coast, about 7:00 when the other games they're over or whatever. I definitely don't watch the AFC. I hate the AFC North. I hate every team in the AFC North. And the South isn't much better, so I don't watch the Colts, and I don't particularly like the Colts. I'm not looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to seeing them lose. Is what I'm looking forward to. I don't
like your attitude.
I don't see any player on there that I care about watching.
Are you afraid of T.Y. Hilton?
Well, he ate us up 4 years ago.
Exactly. I'm worried about T.Y.
That's the game that Hoyer had Alshon wide open and just didn't throw him the ball at the end of it. Just didn't see him. And he was standing in the fucking end zone. It was like the play with the Colts at the end of the half in the Super Bowl against the Jets. It's like Earl Morrall was such another Earl Morrall reference. Earl Morrall, he throws it short instead. And the wide Jimmy Orr's open. Fuck it, let me just throw it short. And it's picked off. That reminds me, someone that responded to my tweet that day, I don't even know if he's still with the network anymore. What happened to Trey Busy? He actually responded because I was like, throw the ball to Alshon. I said something. I wasn't even on the network at all then. But yeah, Trey Busy liked my tweet back then.
I love Trey Busy. He's always welcome to come on and be on any of the shows. He's been.
What happened to his show though? The one about the mental health.
He's still doing that show. He took it elsewhere. He's kind of establishing his own network and so forth. And so I retweet it out every once in a while when I notice that it's on my timeline, or sometimes he'll send me one in direct message when he's doing a show. But he's still doing outstanding work getting the message out there. For those of you who don't know, he has a show called Let's Talk It Out. Trey Busy, also known as Alec what's his last name? Alec. Oh, I'm sorry, Trey. I forgot your last name.
Trey Busy.
Trey Busy. But let's talk it out. It's a show about mental health and bringing it to the forefront and having conversations. And he'll have mental health professionals, people who can help and stuff. It's a really, really good show. So anyone out there who needs some assistance or knows of someone who needs some assistance in the area of mental health, check out the podcast. It's called Let's Take It Out. You can find it on iTunes, Podbean, what have you. And Trey Busy is our man behind that show. All right.
And I will say to you real quick.
Sure.
The person that needs to get pussy right now is me. No. Where are you going with it now? What's next?
I wanted to talk about this Colts defense. Statistically, they are the best defense in the NFL. And I think that this is going to be a great test for Nick Foles. But my anticipation is that he's going to play lights out against this defense. I don't know why. It's just a gut feel. And I just feel like they're going to match up well against this defense. And as long as they don't abandon the run, I don't care how they do it. I don't give a fuck if it's under center or out of the shotgun or on a fucking fake punt. Run the fucking ball. Please get at least 25 runs in this game. And I really do think that they can get some rushing yards. Their pass defense, the Colts' pass defense, is statistically the best in the NFL. So that's something to be concerned about. But hopefully Foles is up to the task.
But their stats, again, are inflated because of their opponent this past week. If everyone's going to say that about the Bears,
right.
They played the Jets, and it was a rout. And it looks like their quarterback isn't exactly going to earn his keep either. If Mitch is going to be a busted Sam, whatever, Darnold, is that his name?
That's Sam Darnold. That's correct.
Yeah, it seems like he's not exactly lighting it up with the Jets, and it seems like Adam Gase could be gone soon. But that's I think Sam Darnold's biggest problem. It appears like Adam Gase is, he had that excellent season at Denver when they won the Super Bowl. Good one with the Bears in 2015.
And he came to the Bears the following season and had I thought the type of season that should have made him a candidate for the Chicago Bears head coaching job. Really,
the way they did Lovey in Tampa, and they just said, "Well, we're going to get rid of you and give it to Dirk Cutter just because we don't want him to leave."
Right, exactly.
We should have done that to John Fox and said, "Fuck, we don't want Gase to leave, so you have to go."
Right, but that would have been a mistake given what we've seen out of Gase in Tampa Bay and with the New York Jets. So it's this whole picking a coach thing is not as easy.
He was in Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, I would say that, God, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, but I don't have a lot of faith in Rivers. I know you're talking about the defense. I wanted to say that their backup, the kid that was with New England before, I'm more afraid of him than I am Rivers.
Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, that guy's shown the ability to run and throw a little bit. I don't think he's garbage at all, so I kind of want Rivers in there. I think the Bears can score more points than the Rivers-led Colts. I just do. I mean, our defense has struggled, but maybe I'm just, again, a meathead. I can't exactly tell you why. Last week I was pointing to the narrative, just saying stories matter, momentum matters, and I think the Falcons are going to lose because this is just the way it's written out. And I can't tell you why this week, but I just feel like the Bears are going to win. Well, I can. I don't have the confidence in 40-year-old Phillip Rivers the way I do 40. I don't even think 41-year-old Breeze. I don't have that much confidence either. But I think Breeze coming in is a much, in a couple weeks, is much scarier than Phillip Rivers at this point.
I agree with that. Hey, one of the things that when we were talking about the defense, I forgot to ask you. I believe that, those two roughing the passer penalties that we had, I wouldn't mind seeing those again against Phillip Rivers. I mean, what happened after those penalties? I thought Matt Ryan started to get who's going to hit me now? I gotta get rid of this ball quick. His play dipped considerably after those hits, and so maybe giving away 15 yards on a roughing the passer penalty in today's NFL, maybe that's good strategy if it's going to rattle the quarterback.
That's certainly a good point. I was thinking about this, and again, not to change the conversation, and I don't want to be some Dan Quinn defender, but I didn't think that his play calling was that awful in the sense that, okay, I get it. The Falcons are running the ball well, and you want to eat up the clock. But their bread and butter is throwing the ball. So let's just say, for example, they hand the ball off to Gurley a few times and go 3 and out. Then everyone's going to say, why did you take Ryan out of the game when you got a lead? Why'd you quit? Why did you stop being aggressive? So it's a catch-22 for them.
It is, of course. But, yeah, you don't give they were helping the Bears clock management.
But I think their strength is Ryan. So I just thought the Bears defense just rose to the occasion in the fourth quarter and played better.
But they lost Gage. Julio Jones didn't start the game. They lost Gage in the middle of the game, so they were down to Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley started the game.
Who was playing great in the first half.
He started red hot. He had 5 receptions on like 12 targets, and so I think all of those receptions, 4 of those 5 receptions were in the first half. So he got bottled down in the second half. Meanwhile, Gurley and Hill, they were averaging over 5 yards per carry. To me, it was just they shot themselves in the foot. They got nervous. They got the pressure. We blew last week's game. Are we going to blow it again? Let's throw it. That was bad.
And they blew the Super Bowl. Let's not forget. That's always going to be 28-3 whenever they bring up his name when he's gone in Falcons lure. That's going to be 28-3.
And your memory is much better than mine. And then there was the Super Bowl that they blew with the guy that was arrested for picking up a prostitute.
Eugene Robinson, Packer and Seahawk.
That's right.
Yeah, he was on the sidelines, if you remember, because the NFL Films, NBC didn't show it, but the NFL Films did during Elway's Super Bowl, where Elway finally won the Super Bowl and they beat Green Bay, where Eugene Robinson, I guess because of all those years he played with the Seahawks, was just like, this team sucks. Elway sucks. We're playing the Indianapolis Colts, who were just horrible then. Of course, they got Peyton Manning number 1 overall the next year because they were the worst team in the league then. So he's like, they're the Colts, they suck, and Elway sucks. And so he put his foot in his fucking mouth that night. Yeah, and then the next year he's with the Falcons, and you said the Saturday before the game he picks up a whore. So that was definitely Eugene Robinson. But, yeah, the Dirty Bird year, they were 14-2 and beat the Vikings and then went to the Super Bowl. And
man, that was so sad. That was, I felt so bad when that happened on Saturday night. Robinson gets arrested for the prostitution. I thought to myself, what? They just blew the Super Bowl. That's just a bad karma there.
Yeah, and not to review Super Bowl 33, but Shannon Sharp got hurt real early and was out, and you felt like they should be able to run the ball. They had a chance, and I don't know. They ended up getting blown out.
All right, before we go, let's talk about your sex life. You say you need some pussy. What's going on there? I thought
I was just joking about that. Was their segment, steak and whiskey?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was my joke. They always pointed out Trey wanted to point out who in the media needed to get laid.
That's right.
So I was just joking, saying I'm the one who needs to get laid. So
that was hilarious. Oh, good segment. We should have Trey come on and do a special steak and whiskey segment with us. That'd be fun.
Who do you think we'll just do our version of it now. Let's just change it around a little bit. Okay. Who do you think over the years got more pussy? Dick Geron, and I know no pun intended. I'm not trying to make a pun. But who do you think got laid more often, Dick Geron or Mark Trestman?
Oh.
Because they both seem very similar in their personalities. No, Geron may be completely different, but they're both very calm, cerebral. They, just seem like they would love a lot of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. David Schuster told me that Geron was one of his favorite coaches, Chicago Bears coaches, to cover. He was just a really nice guy. And he said Trestman was like as nerdy as he seemed. So I'm going to go with Geron.
So Geron just may have been pounding pussy is what you're saying.
Yeah, because he was a defensive back, He was used to, going down and and beating the shit out of wide receivers and tight ends. So, yeah, I say Dick Geron. Pun intended.
Or maybe I was going to say, who do you think? I was going to throw Lovey in there, and I was like, well, I don't know. With maybe Lovey got some ass from his son's call girl ring, but that's probably a low blow.
Well, okay, let's stay on this theme. Let's go to the players. Out of the Bears quarterbacks, who do you think got more pussy? Was it Jim McMahon?
Cutler.
Or Jay Cutler?
Yeah, you could just tell. I mean, not just because Kristen was on TV. I mean, like people might not like Jay, but Jay was still like the quarterback, and he just epitomized the quarterback. And he's like Jay was the quarterback from an 80s film that you would have hated. You know what I mean? Like the guy that got the ass and had the pretty girl and won the game and told you to go fuck yourself.
That's right.
And I liked Cutler. I'm just saying, but he's definitely like a villain from a John Hughes movie. So I would think he's definitely, if it's the Breakfast Club, he's definitely the one that was picking on Molly Ringwald. What was his?
Judd Nelson.
Yeah, he's Judd. Although Judd Nelson's my hair kind of looks like Judd Nelson's from the film.
That's right.
I think Cutler, out of all of our quarterbacks, is definitely the one that would have gotten the most ass.
All right.
Maybe McMahon, but he was married though.
Yes, and
he
happily
married.
And I thought very faithful to his wife.
That's just it. And then that piece came up in Sports Illustrated, talking about his mental problems at that time because of all that pressure he had on his head before they started doing that procedure.
Right.
And he had another woman hugging him on the cover of SI. I was like, that's not Nancy.
No.
Who is that?
Yeah.
I mean, not to get in Jim's business or anything, but I thought, like you said, I was like, man, he's been with his wife for 30 years, man.
They were very happy together. I don't know what happened.
It's clearly none of my business, but McMahon would have gotten a lot of ass if he wanted it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm going to go with Cutler as the one who got the most ass throughout his life. Or are we talking about as a player?
Yeah, I would say during his time with the Bears.
I definitely think Jay. Don't you think Jay gets a lot more ass than Trubisky? I think so.
Yeah, Trubisky seems like a one-woman man. I think he's got that girlfriend. He's been with her for a while. Although Trubisky is the kissing titties guy, right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, who got the least amount of pussy as a Bears quarterback?
Ooh.
Jim Miller.
Yeah, Jim Miller. It's a tie between Jim Miller and Bob Avellini. I think Cade McDonald got a lot of ass.
I bet you he did too.
Yeah, I think.
Let me think. Who else?
Steve Stenstrom that never got
no ass.
No
whatsoever.
ass whatsoever. None whatsoever.
No, he's right there with Jonathan Quinn paying for it.
What about backup quarterbacks? Who was
Tom Zach? I bet Tom Zach got some ass. He's like, fuck it, man. I'm an 85 Bear.
Oh, yes. Tom Zach was down on Rush Street getting ass every Friday night.
Tom Zach got some ass. Let's see. Who do you think got laid more, Rex or Kyle? Kyle Orton.
Well, definitely Rex. I mean, what's the whole
Sexy Rex?
Yeah,
right?
what's the whole story behind that? I picked up on that, after it had been out for I think a year or two. So how did he get that? Was it in college or with the Bears?
I thought it was just like some shit they said because it rhymed. I didn't know if it was like legitimately given to him because of his sexual prowess.
Yeah, I thought it was because he was getting a lot of pussy, but I don't know for sure, to be honest. But I have a oh yeah, a very handsome guy. I bet you he got pussy falling out of his pockets. But I always got the impression that Kyle Orton never got laid, although he probably did because he had the kind of personality, but just, the beard and kind of the gawkiness and stuff. I don't know.
He's a huge liberal, though.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
about him.
he is a massive left winger. So, I mean, he would park his car in the same garage as us politically.
Well,
so we'd like to think he's getting asked too.
Exactly. But he's not.
I don't know. Maybe Kyle Orton got laid. He couldn't throw But like your point earlier, he did seem to throw well in Denver when they had the guy that hated Jay so much. That's like Belichick's like ass kisser,
right.
McDaniels when he was the coach.
You know what? Here's the thing. Kyle Orton, and I still to this day believe that whole Jay Cutler trade, I was against it from the start because I just thought that he had this sour puss. The handful of games I saw him play with the Broncos, I said, this guy's a malcontent. This guy doesn't look like he's happy at all. He just threw a touchdown pass, and he's walking off the field and is not celebrating with his players. And so there was something about his attitude that really, really pissed me off. And then I learned that he had diabetes and stuff, and so I cut him some slack, and he became a Bear, blah, blah, blah. But Kyle Orton, to me, was a developmental player, and to trade him when I thought the arrow was pointing up and to lose the draft picks, I thought, I don't know about this trade. I just don't.
Well, see, I disagree. Jay was 26 at the time. And I watched him come into Soldier Field in 2007 with Denver and just throw the ball all over the place.
Yeah, he was
ironically
phenomenal.
with Eddie Royal and Brandon Marshall, whom would also be Bears later on.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hadn't been for Devin Hester, the Bears wouldn't have won that day. And I remember a game specifically the next season when he went to Cleveland. It was a Thursday night game. And I watched it with my cousin who later became a drug addict. So he's not my friend anymore because he just was stealing me,
Yeah,
he's just stealing everything from me. But he was a huge Denver fan and ironically didn't care much for Cutler. But Cutler threw for like 450 against the Browns that night on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, God, this guy's arm is fucking unbelievable. He was playing the Browns, but he was just throwing the ball all over the place on the road too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this guy's fucking solid, man. I was like, I'd love to have him. And then in the offseason when there were rumblings, they're going to try to trade him. I was like, oh, for the love of God, we've got to get in on this. Yes, I was sold from minute one with Jay. Yeah, I bought his jersey that day.
Wow. And I got to tell you, the first time I saw him throw a football, I was like, holy shit. In all of my years of following the Bears, I don't think I've ever seen a guy with the arm strength that Jay Cutler has. Now, definitely Bobby Douglas, who to this day is still one of my favorite Bears quarterbacks, even though he was awful in many respects. But he was just so much fun to look at. And that guy threw a 110-mile-per-hour football, but he just didn't throw accurately at all. And then Vince Evans had a really strong arm. But after that, I don't remember there being a Chicago Bears quarterback who could, break candy glass with a thrown football until Jay Cutler arrived. I said to myself, oh, Rex Grossman had a good arm. He had a really good arm. But watching Cutler throw the football, like I would get to Soldier Field early to watch them warm up, and it was like such a thrill to be seeing this guy throw 60-yard passes in practice, where the year before I was seeing guys that could hardly throw at 20 yards. It was terrible. But, oh well. I am so happy the Jay Cutler days are gone, and now we are into the Nick Foles era.
It's hard to believe that time moves, man, because,
no shit.
The Cutler era has been over now for, basically Mitch's run has been hopefully just Trump's run. Hopefully the one Trump administration was Mitch's years. And the Obama years, we had Jay.
That's right. We had the Affordable Care Act with Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe how quickly it moves.
Yeah.
The Matt Forte's first game was on a Sunday night when they opened Lucas Oil Field in 2008.
Uh-huh.
And the Bears went in there and beat the Colts on Sunday Night Football, wearing white on white, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 12 years ago.
Oh, my goodness. Jeez.
Think about the Bears when they beat the Colts on opening day, and Jay outplayed Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm. That's
8
right.
years ago.
That is right. Oh, my goodness.
Even the game 4 years ago that we talked about a minute ago when Hoyer had over 300 yards that day and missed Alshon at the end. That was 4 years ago.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Kevin White, is he going to be healthy this year? That's where we were then.
Oh,
so it's how quick it's shocking how quickly it moves. But
yep.
Yeah, we're going to have another quarterback. You have to think Foles is under contract at least, assuming he does well this year. You have to assume he's going to be the starter next year.
Well,
he's got one more year left on his deal, and they draft somebody.
Right?
Brad
Biggs has that mailbag in the Chicago Tribune, so I sent him a question because I need clarification on this. So I know that Foles has a contract out. So if he has a good season, he has the ability to say, okay, tear the contract up. I am going to be a free agent. But
couldn't we franchise him then?
Well, that was my question. That was the exact question to Brad Biggs. Does that contract out also prevent the Bears from franchising him and giving him what it would be something like $28 million or whatever it is? It would be exorbitant amount. But hey, if you don't have a quarterback, because if Mitch is not the guy, you're going to let Mitch go, and you got to find a quarterback and draft one, the future guy. So I'm hoping Brad will answer that question. Hopefully he knows the answer, because I'm concerned about what's going to happen in 2021 with the quarterback situation, particularly if you're not going to re-sign Mitch because of performance, and if Foles has the contract out, then who the fuck is going to be the quarterback? You, Dan? Can you play quarterback?
No, not at all. Not at all. I will never pretend to be something that I'm not. And I'm definitely not a quarterback at any point in my life. I could never throw like a Cutler when, 50, 60 yards downfield. I mean, I could do okay in Sandlot, of course, but, definitely not anything worth bragging about.
You're a coxman, not a quarterback, right? All right, Dan, are we ready to pull the plug on this one?
Well, I got this day in Bears history.
Oh, of course. How can I forget? What are we looking at? September?
I hope the show's been okay. I hope that I haven't just meandered about nothing tonight.
We are getting great numbers, by the way. And,
good. I hope it's not a Seinfeld thing like we had a show about nothing tonight.
It did feel a little like that, but I think we got some good information out in between our ramblings. So
yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just don't watch
Please
the Colts
don't be sorry. I had fun. I don't know if
I don't watch the Colts a lot. I hope that it's not, something people are listening to and saying, fuck this. Like,
No. If people want to know about the Colts, tomorrow, Buffon 55, they've got the sports editor from one of the Indianapolis newspapers. So Alyssa Barbieri and John Buffon will be getting all the information about the Colts that you'll want. And then Greg Gabriel and David Schuster later in the week, they'll preview the Colts game. This show is different. This is Dan and I. Dan is having a virtual drink. I'm actually having a real drink. I picked up a bottle of Traverse City whiskey. This stuff is good. Traverse City is a town. You're not a whiskey man, right?
I do not like whiskey. If I'm going to drink liquor, it's got to be clear.
Oh, really?
I don't like any dark liquor.
Oh, I love this shit, man. I am telling you, Traverse City is a town up in Michigan, and they do these small batches, handcrafted rye whiskeys, and this stuff is pretty good. So I've been sipping this tonight and having fun talking to my good buddy Dan Aguire. What do you got in Bears history, brother?
On this day, and this will tie into where we are now, and I hope it doesn't play out the same way. On Sunday, September the 29th, 2013, the unbeaten 3-0 Chicago Bears went to Ford Field to play the 2-1 Detroit Lions. Coach Mark Trestman would be opposed by Coach Jim Schwartz.
Oh, God.
In front of 64,552 fans, the Chicago Bears would lose their first game in 2013, 40-32.
That was
they were down
game.
And scored a little bit late. Let me look at late in the game. Robbie 28-yard field goal. Robbie 25-yard field goal. Alshon 14-yard pass from Cutler. Then Cutler to Earl Bennett as well with 43 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they scored a bunch late to make it that close. Jay on the day was 27 of 47, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was sacked 3 times. Conversely, Stafford was 23 of 35 for 242, 1 touchdown, 1 sack. But the Bears lost 40-32 and would drop to 3-1. And I think they lost at home to the Saints the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jimmy Graham scored on us, imagine that.
Right, yes. That's right.
And then they would beat the Giants when the night that Brandon Marshall wore the green shoes on a primetime game for a mental illness thing.
Yes. Borderline personality disorder is what he had, but he was trying to bring awareness to mental illness.
So we got to 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we're going to finish 8-8 though. But it would have been 9-7 if Robbie hadn't have missed in the Metrodome. But then again, maybe Trestman shouldn't have kicked on second down. There's so many what ifs on that year.
Oh, I was just going to say, I could go 5 hours talking about that season and how, if we had a general manager who would have figured out a way to acquire some decent defensive players and to replace the Lovie Smith aging stars, then you had an offense there that could have won you some games. But like you said earlier in the show, finally you give Jay some weapons, but you don't give him a defense. So that was what if the Bears that year, and maybe just out of hometown, whatever, maybe they give Urlacher a 1-year, $4 million deal or something. And he takes it, even if he doesn't play the whole year. What if they bring Urlacher back one more year and they say, you know what, we don't want your career ending with a hamstring and blah, blah, blah. What if they bring him back and just for the morale in terms of maybe helping the defense accept Mark Trestman? Maybe if Urlacher could have been on board instead of having just the Lovie loyalists say, fuck it, we're mad because Lovie's gone. Right.
If you could have got Urlacher to buy in, maybe Charles Tillman and Lance Briggs specifically. Because remember, Briggs gets hurt, and then they activate him late in the year, and he's out of shape.
Oh, he was fat. I don't want
to call him fat, but you know what I'm saying? Like when we needed him in that game where Nick Foles ate us up like 51-3 or whatever.
Yes.
What was that? 51-7 or something for real?
Yeah, I think it was.
Briggs was activated that night, I think.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so it's what
First
I'm
of
saying.
all, I have no confidence at all that Brian Urlacher would have done that effectively. There's just, he was a team leader for Lovie, but I don't think outside that conclave, for lack of a better way of putting it, I don't think he would have responded to Mark Trestman. He just like Lance Briggs didn't respond to Mark Trestman, just like Tillman didn't respond to Trestman. I'm not sure why you would think that Urlacher, a guy that you don't like.
I didn't say that he would have. Okay. I was just throwing it out.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
It felt like the other players really respected Urlacher.
Yeah.
If you could have got him to buy in, maybe they would have.
Yeah, what I care about is whether he could have played, and clearly he could not play because he couldn't run anymore. His legs were shot. It was over. I saw him run.
I'll throw a different one at you.
Okay.
Let's say, and I think they tried this, and he declined, but for whatever reason, let's say they break out the checkbook and they say, come on, Rod, don't leave the building. We're not going to let you leave. What if they kept Rod Marinelli?
Right.
As the defensive coordinator, then do you think even if Trestman's there, that placates the defense enough to where they played better?
Oh, yes. But the answer really should have been when Rod Marinelli said, I won't play for Mark Trestman. If you don't hire Arians, I'm gone. And that's what they should have done. They should have said, well, we need to keep Rod Marinelli. And this Bruce Arians guy, he's not half bad. So let's hire Arians. We keep our defensive coordinator. And under that scenario, I can see the team going 10-6 and making a playoff run.
I guess we'll never know. And we would at least made it had it not been for Randall Cobb getting past Chris Conte and Julius Peppers, allowing Aaron Rodgers to break contain. and to hit that pass deep. The only time I've ever broken a remote controller while watching.
I've never broken a remote controller while watching any sporting event or anything. What I have done is I've broken PlayStation controllers when I've been beating somebody at PlayStation online, and the motherfucker quit on me just as I was ready to score the winning touchdown or something like that. It's like I would get my ass kicked so many times on PlayStation football, and then finally I'm going to win the game, and the guy quits on me, just taking victory away. It's like, no, this fucking controller's going into the fireplace in many, many pieces. All right. That day in history was a great one. I can't wait for the next one. Do you have anything for tomorrow, September 30th? It's my brother's birthday. I can call him and say, happy birthday. By the way, do you know that the Bears did this?
Okay, well, let's just talk another 2 minutes or so, and I'll come up with one because I hadn't planned on that. So, well,
while you're coming up with something, I want to let our listeners know that we're doing something different with Draft on Tap, the Bears Barroom Scouting Show that we have. Danny Shimon is back for another year, thankfully. But also we have a new guy joining him. His name is Neil Stopchinski. And Neil and Danny are going to play the role of Chicago Bears scouts. And I, good old me, I'm going to play the role of Ryan Pace. And so in our first show, which we are recording on Thursday live on video that you can catch on our YouTube channel, Bears Barroom, or you can catch it on our social media platforms, on Twitter at Bears Barroom, on Facebook page, Bears Barroom, Bears Barroom Pub. We've got a couple of Facebook pages. You can catch it in just about anywhere. And so I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to pretend I'm Ryan Pace and say, okay, here's our number one challenge. This week's show, we need to talk about the quarterback position because I fucked up the team by drafting Mitch Trubisky, and now Nick Foles, if he plays well, he's going to leave. So who are the good quarterbacks that we should be looking at in round 1 or round 2 or even round 3? So that's the premise of this year's Draft on Tap. We're going to be talking a lot of Chicago Bears football, and we're going to be looking at the college football game from the perspective of scouts who scout for the Chicago Bears. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a what-if kind of scenario. So hopefully you guys who love the NFL draft and you guys and gals who just love Chicago, talk about Chicago Bears football, will tune in and give it a shot, and you get to see our ugly faces on video. Do you have anything for September 30th, Mr. Dan?
I've only found one. I went back to 85, and I went through 06, and I don't think I saw this game. Because against pre-Sunday ticket, and back where I live, like I said, we didn't get the Bears every week. September 30th, 1990, Chicago Bears 10, Los Angeles Raiders 24.
Oh.
The Bears were 3-0. They head into L.A., and the Raiders remained 4-0. Let's see what happened. I assume Jay Schrader riddled us again.
Yeah.
Nope, he was 8 of 15, $178. That's it. So what the fuck? Marcus Allen only had 57 yards rushing. Bo was still playing baseball.
And
for us, we had Harbaugh 8 of 18, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, sacked 4 times. Tom Zach came in. Okay, here's the scoring plays. Marcus Allen, 1 yard, extra point by future Bear Jeff Jager. 80-yard touchdown from Harbaugh to Dennis Gentry.
Oh, my goodness.
27-yard field goal for Jager. Greg Townsend, 1 yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. Kevin Butler, field goal, 22 yards. Marcus Allen, 3-yard touchdown. Raiders 24, Bears 10 on this day tomorrow, 30 years ago.
And what were Marcus Allen's final numbers for that game? He scores 2 touchdowns, but total
12
yards.
carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And what about
his longest carry was 10 yards.
And what about receptions?
None.
Wow.
They had 10 catches out of the backfield for his fullback, though, Greg Bell.
I can't say I remember that game, and I'm glad I don't. That seemed like one of those really ugly football games.
Oh, here goes your stat. 4 catches that day, 103 yards, longest 59 for Los Angeles Raiders' very own Willie Gault.
My
Another
heart.
guy we shouldn't have gotten rid of. It's just like, well, just because.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's just get rid of him. I don't know why.
That's right. He's going Hollywood on us, so let him go to Hollywood. That's what
Even
it was.
McMahon at the time was like, I think we're a better team without Willie. Why would you say that?
I don't get it. I don't.
All right. Well, it's 11:35, roughly my time. I guess I should get to my other job, and I hope that people are happy with the show, man. I'm trying.
I am. I'll tell you that. And I appreciate all your efforts, not only with this show, but everything else that you do for the network. I know you busted your ass doing that promo for the Bears Barroom and Draft on Tap last night. And
I wasn't sure because Neil's name, it looks like Niall.
Yeah.
Or I was like, is it like the Nile River or is it like Neil Anderson? I don't know.
Yeah, he spells
thankfully it was Neil.
Niel, but it's pronounced Neil. And Stopchinski is the pronunciation of his last name. And he's
Neil Stopchinski.
Yeah, he's a new rising star here at the Barroom. So you can listen to him on Thursday on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to Dan Aguire on all of the Barroom Network shows. I think he's got a presence on just about every show that we do.
I try to help, man.
You're going to get a really nice Christmas present. By the way, did you know that Manscaped is now sponsoring the Barfly Tailgate Show, and that you are going to have some really clean shaved balls?
I always shave my balls. Like I've been a ball shaver since before ball shaving became a thing.
Well, Manscaped is going to help you in your near future.
I would definitely, because I always just shave with I throw the blade away. Don't worry about that. I'm not using the same one on my face. But I use my Gillette shit. Like I just shave my balls with my razor.
Okay, well.
Like I don't use like clippers or something. It always feels like it pulls.
No.
I shave and it's clean. My shit's been clean since like 2000.
Mm-hmm. But I have been using my Norelco, which I use for my beard. I also use for my balls. But those days are over with because my Manscaped kit is on its way, and yours will be soon too. And
I'll definitely take it because there's nothing worse than fucking hair on your fucking cock.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not a wolf. I don't like the feeling. Whenever I start to feel hair on the sides of it, it's got to go.
Oh.
It's got to go.
And
Plus, there's nothing worse when the woman's doing it and she's...
Yeah, exactly. And then later on, you kiss her, and all of a sudden, you got hair in your mouth, and you're wondering, wait a minute, where did this hair come from? This is my pubic hair in my mouth.
I'll definitely gladly accept that. Whatever would make it easier.
There you go. All right, everyone.
I said this on Twitter. I know I got to go, but when the Bears, remember when the Bears had a couple of people like in trouble for going out into a club and staying out real late before the Eagles game a few years ago in Philly?
Yes. What was his name? The guy with the long arms, the long defensive back arms. I forgot, but go ahead. Yeah.
I remember saying that day, I went and shaved my balls at the half. I said something to the effect of shaving my balls at halftime was more pleasurable than watching that first half. That's how bad that first half was, or that whole game in general.
Before you go, you want to give a prediction on the score this Sunday? A score?
I don't know about the score, but I honestly feel like the Bears are going to win it. And I don't know. We've never beaten Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
They got away with one in 2002 at Champaign where I thought the Bears were jobbed. I mean, period.
Mm-hmm.
But and then in 2006, he fakes Urlacher out of his boots, beats him in New England. 2010, a snow game in Chicago, and the Bears lose by like 75.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see, what was next? 14. Oh, we lost by 50 in New England. The Lamar Houston celebration game.
Oh, my God, yes.
And then last year or 2 years ago when Mitch threw to Kevin White at the half-yard line and he was tackled. So Brady
it was the greatest catch of his Bears career, but he just couldn't get it over the goal line.
And so there you go. Brady's never been beaten by the Bears.
It'll happen in 2
weeks.
weeks.
To see 4-0 Bears beat Tampa on Thursday night, October the 8th. That's what we're hoping for.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk about what day we're doing our show that week. Maybe we could do another Tuesday night show, but we've got time to think about that. All right, you go to work. I'm going to go, I don't know, take a shit or something.
All right, well, you have fun. Maybe you can shave your balls.
I'm looking forward to using this Manscaped stuff. All right, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, be well. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomfe. Bear down.